Good afternoon, everybody. It is Steve Lookner with Agenda Free TV. Wow, it is Tariff Day. President Trump is calling it Liberation Day. And we are here to bring you live coverage of President Trump's new tariffs announcement, which is supposed to be in an hour and 11 minutes. We'll see if it starts on time. What will he announce? He is expected to announce major tariffs on countries around the world. And we won't know exactly what they're going to be until he announces it, unless the White House comes out with some official statement beforehand, which I'm guessing they will not do. So we're here to bring you live breaking news coverage of the Trump tariffs announcement. We're going to be taking your comments and questions on the air. I appreciate you guys being here for our coverage. Hey, let me thank our moderators for being here. We have Ruth Krafasi and Janet B. here over on YouTube. Beth Mythical is here. Thank you so much for being here. And all of our other YouTube moderators. Thanks to our Twitch moderators. Oops, hang on. I need to pull something up on the screen here. I am coming to you live from Lima, Peru, where I am for a little bit, just visiting. So the broadcast may not look and sound like it normally does. I am on my miniature portable setup, which is different. So it can be a little confusing to do the stream this way. But hopefully everything works. Let's hope no big technical difficulties. I apologize in advance. It's not, it won't look and sound like it does when I'm at home, but I'd rather be able to cover the stuff. So thanks for your understanding on that. Okay, let me say thanks to our Twitch moderators. Over there on Twitch, we have Hearsay, Matthew Kohai 3, Mick Britches, all moderating there. Thanks so much. Thanks also for subscribing. Tom Coolcam subscribed. Thanks, Tom, for subscribing over there. And our ex-moderators, hold on a second here. Linda Belk, Misha, Larry, and our Facebook moderators. Thanks so much for being there. Margaret Riley and Kay Lowry Body there right now. Thank you so much. Thanks, Marie Goodson Hamilton, for subscribing over there on Facebook. All right, so, by the way, so I should have some video earlier than the announcement. I'm hoping to get video. What is this? Hold on. I am hoping to get some video before the announcement. Although, is that my time or is that Eastern time? What am I looking at here? Oops. Yeah, hang on a second here. So if I get video before the announcement, I'll let you know. Also, when does that video start? I got to keep an eye on all the video I have available. That's what I need to do. I do have a live shot of the White House. Let me show you the live shot of the White House. Ready? Here is. There's the White House live. Look, it's live. But we very well might get video of the venue. I think it's in the Rose Garden where he's making the speech, making the announcement. But if we get video of that venue before he goes live, I'll put that up on the screen for you. Oh, I also want to say a thanks to, then we'll get into this. Thanks so much to Dawn Swain for the gift memberships. I really appreciate that. Thanks, GIS, GIS. Yes, I already had some ceviche. It was excellent. I'm going to be having more seafood. Yes, I will. Thank you so much, GIS. Thanks also, PZ Papa Zulu, so nice of you. Really appreciate your support. Who says promises made and promises kept. Thank you, Lunar Guardian, our member, and Sneezing Eagle, our member, and Chris Canada, Quebec City, who says Canada is ready to receive its punishment for hospitality on 9/11, air tankers for the California fires, and aid teams for climate disasters. Thank you, Chris. Thanks, Ellie Lassetti from Australia, for your support. She says she has been waiting for this. And Pale Rider 747, thanks for your support as well. And also our member, Marks, thank you. All right, so I got to keep an eye out for whatever video I have. Oh, I also have, I have a stock, oopsie, let's see if this still works. I have a stocks screen, which I might be able to show you if you give me a second here. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Sorry, everything's a little more difficult, as I mentioned, when I'm doing it on the road. Things that don't take any time to do take a little time to do. I'm going to put up the stocks screen so you can check that out. Where is that? Hang on. Get it up on the screen for you. Oh, hang on. See, I already did something wrong. Let's try this again. Let's try this again. There. That's better. Okay, we'll open this up. We'll open this up. Open this. Thanks for your patience. Ah, got it. Good. Here is I have the stock screen. Are you ready? Let me see if I can get this up on the screen. Is this going to work? Oops, hold on. It's a whole thing. Now, why is that not working? What's up with that? All right, I got to fix something here. I got to do a quick fix. We got to do a quick fix. Here is your stock screen. It's so big. We don't want it that big. You can't see it if I do it that way. So that's the Dow Jones. The Dow is up a little bit today. As you can see, it started down, went up, and now it's close to even on the day, the Dow Jones. So we have that for you. And speaking of stocks, let me just check the other major indexes in the U.S. We have S&P 500 is about even, up 0.18%. NASDAQ is up 0.3%. Russell 2000 up 1.16%. One of our viewers said you should mention Tesla stock. Yeah, I don't want to do that first. Tesla stock was up today 5%. There's some reporting that says that suggests that there's reporting that says that the White House is saying that possibly Elon Musk won't be in his role that much longer. So maybe I'll get into this a little later. Politico is reporting that President Trump told his inner circle and members of his cabinet that Elon Musk will be stepping back in the coming weeks from his current role. I don't know if that's true. So It was also announced today that Tesla sales fell 13% in the first quarter of the year. Anyways, I don't want to start with that, though, because then we're just way off topic. Let's stick to the tariffs to start. Maybe we can talk about that stuff after. All right. First of all, let me get rid of this thing. And let me get you back here. Okay. Let's talk about the tariffs. Trump to impose sweeping tariffs on Wednesday, escalating global trade tensions. Wow. We have just about an hour until his big tariff announcement. What is he going to do? Jorge M., our viewer, says today is the tariffs day. So you can see here, Reuters says, President Trump proclaimed Liberation Day in the U.S. on Wednesday as he prepared to impose sweeping new tariffs that would escalate a trade war with global partners, increase prices, and upend a decades-old trade order. Trump has kept the world guessing, says Reuters, on the details of his tariff plans, which were still being formulated ahead of a White House Rose Garden announcement ceremony scheduled for 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I wouldn't be surprised if it starts late, but we'll see. A person familiar with the administration's deliberations said the tariffs are expected to be significant and would hit a range of countries, including close allies. The new duties, which would undo trade arrangements in place since 1947 and are due to take effect immediately after Trump announces them. Immediately. That's at least what we've been led to believe. That's what the press secretary said yesterday. A separate 25% global tariff on auto imports will take effect tomorrow. But the White House has not yet published an official notice of either set of tariffs, as it is required to do before they take effect. It is Liberation Day in America, said Trump on his Truth Social. Let me show you that. Look what he said. He said, if I can pull this up here, it's Liberation Day in America. Redon, our viewer, says, it'll be okay, y'all. Sudden Updraft, our viewer, says, I hope this isn't a disaster. Trisha Liderson thinks it'll be truth-telling which countries are targeted. Sudden Updraft also says, I might need to take my anxiety meds because of this. Daniel Blue says, crazy how the details are still not clear on the day of, ha ha. Two Dog Mom says, everyone breathe, we will be okay. By the way, thank you to PZ Papa Zulu. Thank you so much, PZ Papa Zulu, for your support. Also, Texan Gunsmith, our new member. Thank you. Well, hold on a moment here. Hang on a moment here. 56 minutes and 48 seconds, in theory, until the tariff announcement, in theory. Where is... Reuters says trading partners are expected to respond with actions of their own. So something else to watch out for today is, assuming there's this big tariff announcement in less than an hour, will we start hearing pretty soon from other countries about what they're going to do in response? Trump, who once called the word tariff the most beautiful word in the dictionary, has said his reciprocal plans would match U.S. rates with higher levels charged by other countries and counteract their non-tariff barriers that he says disadvantage U.S. exports. Trump's trade advisor Peter Navarro said the auto tariffs would return strategically vital manufacturing capabilities to the U.S. This isn't protectionism, it's restoration, he wrote. Doug Ford, the premier of the Canadian province of Ontario, said he was not sure whether Trump officials understood the U.S. auto industry's supply chain system, which is tightly linked with other countries. This is the most ridiculous thing I have ever seen, he said on CNBC. Outside economists have warned that tariffs could slow the global economy, raise the risk of recession, and increase living costs for the average U.S. family by thousands of dollars. Businesses have complained that Trump's barrage of threats has made it difficult to plan their operations. The chief strategist at Interactive Brokers, Steve Sosnick, told Reuters, "I can't recall a situation where the stakes were this high and yet the outcome was so unpredictable. The devil is going to be in the details, and nobody knows the details." Across sectors from cars to ocean freight shipping, luxury goods, and beyond, business leaders waited to see what would hit them. France expected a pretty powerful hit that could see tariffs in the range of 20 to 25%. What is going to happen? What is going to happen here? Guys, oh my gosh, 53 minutes and 44 seconds if this starts on time. Raven Knight says the devil is in the details. Gary Patis says fair is fair. Do we have any live video yet from the events? Let's see. Nothing there. Again, if I get early live video, I will play it for you. Let's see here. Lefty says what's going to happen is these other countries are going to see what it's like when they tariff our products. We're going to have live coverage of his announcement coming up. You can see here in the Reuters article, it says trading partners, including Australia, the European Union, Canada, and Mexico, have vowed to respond with retaliatory tariffs and other countermeasures, even as some have sought to negotiate with the White House. Trump has argued that American manufacturers have been hurt for decades by free trade deals that have lowered barriers to global commerce and fueled the growth of a $3 trillion U.S. market for imported goods. leading to a goods trade deficit that exceeds $1.2 trillion. But a 20% tariff on top of those already imposed would cost the average U.S. household at least $3,400, according to the Yale University Budget Lab. We don't know how much his tariffs are going to be. Is it going to be an across-the-board tariff? If so, how much? Is it going to vary from country to country? You know, Sky News had a report earlier today. This is totally unconfirmed, their report. Sky News was saying, what did Sky News say? So Sky News said, you know, make of this what you will. They said a source told them, a source close to the White House said there will be different bands of tariffs that will vary by country and industry. Could happen that way. That's what Sky News said. Robert Law says, I already can barely afford to live. That was what our viewer said. You might hear a little noise in the background today. Again, I'm in Lima, Peru, and I'm doing the stream from there. Hopefully no major technical difficulties. I ask for your understanding. It's not going to look and sound like it normally does. You might hear some traffic noise. There's like some maintenance going on in the building. So sorry for any kind of noise you hear, but hopefully things generally work okay. Daniel Blue, our viewer, says, America can't start producing everything in one day. We're screwed for a while. One of our viewers, Finding Peace, said, how do you retaliate to reciprocal tariffs? Because the idea is that Trump has said he's going to possibly put tariffs on other countries that are in proportion to what they put on the United States. So now, if a country, some countries have suggested they're going to respond with new tariffs, but will Trump then raise the reciprocal tariffs on them, right? So if countries respond to Trump's new tariffs today, will he announce more tariffs on them? Beats me. Beats me. Let me see if I have, and I want to just make sure I don't have any updates for you too. I want to keep checking the news. And we're now at 48 minutes. 48 minutes until 4 Eastern time. I'm just making sure we don't have any kind of big reports about the tariffs in advance. I don't see any. You can give me a shout on X. At Lookner is where you can reach me. Can see the headline there from Washington Post. Trump preps major tariff hike as businesses, Wall Street brace for impact. Speaking of Wall Street, let's just take a quick look at the Dow. Hey, look, it's the Dow. The Dow Jones Industrials. They're about flat for the day right now. President Trump has timed his announcement so it will be after the market closes. The markets close in the U.S. at 4. His announcement scheduled for 4. I don't know if that's intentional timing. Our viewer Bullfrogging thinks that's why he's waiting till 4. Plus Ultra Trade says, who cares about the Dow? S&P 500 is better representation. Well, earlier I told you the other indexes, what was going on there. Just to update you with the other indexes, oopsie, hang on. Just to update you about the other indexes, we have NASDAQ is up 0.36%, S&P 500 up 0.22%, Russell 2000 up 0.92%. Let's check this out. Trump preps major tariff hike as businesses Wall Street brace for impact. President Trump is scheduled this afternoon to unveil comprehensive new tariffs on imported goods in a move designed to spur a renaissance in domestic manufacturing and fill government coffers with tax revenue. Even as many economists warn, he is steering the U.S. economy towards slower growth and higher prices, says Washington Post. After weeks of internal debate and mixed signals, Trump plans to reveal details of his broadest import tax yet in a Rose Garden ceremony, which we will cover live. The first of his second term in the Rose Garden, featuring his full cabinet. His full cabinet's going to be there today, guys. The announcement follows the president signing in mid-February of a memorandum calling for a fair and reciprocal, quotes, trade plan to rebalance the global trading system. The details have shifted over time as the president swung between his initial inclination to impose tariffs that match the fees assessed by other nations on U.S. products, that would be a reciprocal tariff as he calls it, and a more uniform formula reminiscent of the universal 10 to 20% tariff he touted during the 2024 campaign. In recent days, Trump has spoken favorably of the simple approach that will impose an identical tariff of roughly 20% on goods from almost all nations. I think it's time for a poll. The poll is, will the Trump's tariffs be one tariff for all or varying by country? That's going to be our poll question right now. That's the two choices. One tariff rate for all or varying by country. All right, I just posted the poll in YouTube. I am now going to post it on Twitch, and I will post it on Facebook as well. All right, Twitch, I'm posting it there right now, and we'll see what you guys have to say. One moment here as I get this posted. Thanks for your patience. It's now posted on Twitch. We are posting it on Facebook right now. We're posting the poll. Let's see here if I can do this. Big pain in the butt to post things on Facebook. They do not make it easy. Okay, I've just posted it on Facebook. All right, let's see what you guys had to say. The question is, will the tariffs be one rate for everyone, just a flat rate for everybody, or or will he vary it by country? First up, YouTube. Let's see what YouTube had to say. YouTube says, 83% say varying by country on YouTube, where only 18% say one rate for all. All right, over there on Twitch, we have, let's pull up what Twitch is saying. Twitch is saying pretty close to YouTube. 89% say varying by country. 12% say one rate for all. He's talked about doing both at different points in time. Anything to him, I mean, I feel like one rate for all is like, if you want to make like the splashiest announcement, and you want to go big, you just say one rate for all because it's simple. But he's also recently, of course, talked about doing reciprocal tariffs, varying it by the country. Okay, so that's what Twitch said. And then on Facebook, it's Facebook 90% say varying by country. 10% say one rate for all. So basically, you guys, most of you think it's going to be varying by country. All right. Daniel Boberson thinks for sure it's going to be varying. He made that clear. Again, though, in recent days, Trump has spoken favorably of the simpler approach that would impose an identical tariff of roughly 20% on goods from almost all nations. Washington Post says the president and his aides blame the nation's $1.2 trillion trade deficit on what they call unfair foreign trade barriers, including high tariffs, internal taxes, and regulatory requirements. Many economists label these complaints exaggerated, saying the deficit stems from insufficient national savings. The White House said that the tariffs to be showcased in the Rose Garden event would take effect immediately. The administration dismissed increasing concern among investors, economists, and some members of the Republican Party about the course Trump has taken. White House Press Secretary Karen Leavitt said, "They're not going to be wrong. It's going to work. And the president has a brilliant team of advisors who have been studying these issues for decades." In little more than 10 weeks, Trump has imposed new import taxes on steel, aluminum, Chinese goods, and some products from Canada and Mexico. Taken together, the tariffs already have lifted the nation's average tariff from around 2.2% to about 8%, the highest figure in decades. But that's before today. Depending on the specifics of Trump's action today, the U.S. could soon have tariffs rivaling those enacted by the Tariff Act of 1930, also known as the Smoot-Hawley tariff, as the Smoot-Hawley legislation, which most economists say made the Great Depression worse. Relative to the size of the U.S. economy, trade is about 5 times as important as it was back in 1930. Says the Washington Post. So what is going to happen? Oh my gosh, guys, 37 minutes till 4 Eastern time. President Trump is calling this Liberation Day. Our viewer, sorry, I'm trying to find it here. Chat is flying by. Our viewer, if I can find it here, where is it? Our viewer Ponicus says, listen to the economist, Trump. Let's see here. Lily's Thoughts says, people panic for nothing. Strong One thinks Great Depression 2.0, here we come. Hold on a second here. Let me see if I have more video for you. Mary DeFore says, are people really feeling liberated? Paula Thompson thinks the tariffs will be varied by country. Melissa Terry says, he has said he will charge them exactly what they charge us. I don't have more video yet from the anything from inside from the Rose Garden. There is a live shot of the White House again. There's our live shot of the White House. And we also have, there is the current Dow Jones Industrial Average, up a little bit today. TFB thinks the markets are optimistic today. The U.S. major indexes all seem to be up a little bit. When I last checked, they were up a little bit. But who knows how they will react to his announcement. Evelyn H. says, Trump is never on time, so it's four-ish. Yeah, as I said earlier, I would not be surprised if this announcement is late. Now, I haven't seen anything, Sky News had this report claiming a source close to the White House told them it'll be varied by country, but I don't know if that's true. But I haven't really seen, any kind of big leaks in American press about the tariffs yet. I'm looking here. The full cabinet is going to be at the announcement. The full cabinet. You can see the headline on AP. Trump is set to announce new tariffs as he takes a political and financial gamble. Hey, thanks to Dodger Blue, who says if you're not, Dodger Blue said, if you're not at least somewhat concerned or at the very least curious, well, I want what you're smoking. Thanks also Napoleon Solo for your support. Hang on, I got to give a couple thank yous here. Thanks to Ehsan Saka Amini. From Malaysia. Wow, thanks for watching from Malaysia. Can you talk about Iran situation? I don't know if we'll do it on this stream because it's so far off the the topic. I try to stick to the topic. But if there's huge new Iran news, we'll do a stream on it. I'm sure we'll be talking more about them soon. But I don't want to get too off the topic, because then it gets confusing. But thank you, Ehsan. I'm sure we'll be doing more news about them soon. Ehsan, Sakin, Amini. Thanks for watching from Malaysia. Thanks, Crypto King, for your support. Thanks for shouting out the mods, Crypto King. I'm about to do that myself. Mr. Classic, thanks for being a member, for being a new member. Thanks, Boomer Wow. Boomer Wow thinks Trump's economic policy might be working already. Thanks, Enema, for your support. Enema thinks that Trump's tariffs are going to collapse the market in the US dollar for the reset and says prepare. Thank you, Joey, for your support, and Susanna Branch and David Click. All right, hang on a moment here. Hang on a moment here. We got to shout out our moderators because they are awesome. Oh, thanks, Geek, for subscribing, and Wall Street for subscribing, too, on Twitch. We have moderating over there on Twitch. Hearsay, I Got That Fire, Matthew Kohai 3, Mick Bridges, Sarah, Surly, Devin Teriag. Thank you so much. On Facebook, Kay Lowry, Body, Margaret Riley. Thanks for modding there. Linda Belk, Larry, Misha on Twitch, on X. Thank you. On YouTube, Ruth Grafasi, Danny James, Beth Mythical, Janet B., and all of our other moderators. Thank you so much to our moderators. Hopefully I got everybody. Christy Claft, our viewer, thinks it's not just our economy that will suffer, it's going to affect the global economy too. Still Frank thinks market is going to get scared again. Just watch. Buy cheaper, people. That's what Still Frank, our viewer, said. See what AP had to say. AP says, after weeks of White House hype and public anxiety, President Trump is set today, just in a little while, in less than a half an hour, well, if he starts on time, in less than a half an hour, President Trump is set today to announce a barrage of what he calls reciprocal tariffs on friend and foe alike. The new tariffs, coming on what Trump has named Liberation Day, are a bid to boost U.S. manufacturing and punish other countries for what he says are years of unfair trade practices. But by most economists' assessments, the move threatens to plunge the economy into a downturn and upend decades-old alliances. As I said, will we hear today, after his announcement, other countries already announcing reciprocal tariffs, or not reciprocal, retaliatory tariffs on the U.S.? We'll have to see. The White House is exuding confidence despite the political and financial gamble, says AP. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt said yesterday, April 2, 2025 will go down as one of the most important days in modern American history. She said the new tariffs would take effect immediately. Details of Trump's tariff plans were unclear hours before the president's scheduled afternoon speech. The S&P 500 stock index was up slightly in Wednesday trading as investors hoped to have more certainty about his agenda. Wow. Another viewer just said, I need my anxiety meds. Oh no, Sudden Updraft said that. It was the same viewer. Marv thinks it's barely Liberation Day. Mike says, let's go. Saxon Acadia Yoruba says, Liquidation Day is more like it. Raven Knight says, I'm in real estate and I can tell you developments are on hold right now. Mac says, leftist hysteria. Hey, thank you to Mike Stevenson, who says, I truly believe the tariffs will work only if government can cut regulations and restrictions on USA business. He also must lower the cost of energy. Thank you, Mike Stevenson. I appreciate your support. You can see here, AP says the tariffs are expected to follow similar recent announcements of 25% taxes on auto imports. Those taxes on auto imports start tomorrow, by the way. President Trump also has recently announced tariffs against China, which are in place, I think 20% across the board. Canada and Mexico, but most of those are on hold. It's not clear if he's going to pull those off of hold yet, the Canada and Mexico ones. Most of those are on hold right now. And expanded trade penalties he has announced already on steel and aluminum. Trump has also imposed tariffs on countries that import oil from Venezuela. And Trump has said he plans separate import taxes on pharmaceutical drugs, lumber, copper, and computer chips. None of the warning signs about a falling stock market or consumer sentiment turning morose has caused the administration to publicly second-guess its strategy. White House trade advisor Peter Navarro has suggested the new tariffs would raise $600 billion annually. Remember, tariffs are paid by the importer. So whoever is bringing these goods in the U.S. has to pay the tariff to the U.S. government. So it's being paid by entities in the U.S. White House trade advisor Peter Navarro has suggested the new tariffs would raise $600 billion annually, which would be the largest tax increase since World War II. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent told lawmakers the tariffs would be capped and could be negotiated downward by other countries. Importers would likely pass along some of the cost of the taxes to consumers. The Budget Lab at Yale University estimates that if President Trump was going to go with a 20% universal tariff, that's 20% on everything, every country. If he did that, that would cost the average household an additional $3,400 to $4,200 a year, I believe it is. I think that's on the higher end of possibilities of where he might go. I've seen talk of like 10% or 15% or 20%, or maybe 20% for some countries and other countries less. I don't know. The Republican administration's premise is that manufacturers will quickly increase domestic production and create factory jobs. Now, it can take years to build factories, just to be clear. Based on the possibility of broad 20% tariffs that have been floated by some White House aides, most analyses see an economy tarnished by higher prices and stagnation. If there were broad 20% tariffs, the Yale Budget Lab analysis found U.S. economic growth would be roughly a point lower, and clothing, oil, automobiles, housing, groceries, and even insurance would cost more. We'll have to see what Trump does. What's going to happen? Oh my gosh, 22 minutes and 45 seconds till 4 o'clock. Whew, guys, we're getting very close. Although certainly he could start this late. This could start late. Hold on a second here. Where is... As soon as I get, I'll say this. I have a feeling if he doesn't start on time, we will have some video from the Rose Garden. I think the video from the Rose Garden, the live video, is supposed to start in 22 minutes. So even if he's not started yet, I'll have something to show you, I think, from there. Look, it's the live White House. Hey, look, it's the White House. Let's take some more comments from you guys. What do you think is going to happen? Is he going to go big? Lucas Ford says market bouncing in power hour. Where is the... I think I have that. The Dow is now up 0.5% today. That's the Dow Jones Industrials. And NASDAQ is up 0.5%. S&P 500 up about 0.4%. Russell 2000 up 1%. Michael Nelson says gold is up. That's what our viewer Michael Nelson says. Thank you, Michael Nelson. I'll have to look up gold. I don't really follow the gold market. I went to a couple different websites who say that gold is up about 0.5% in the last day. Trigger Happy says gold is over $3,100. Again, I maybe I should follow it a little more. I'm seeing it's around 31.26, the gold price, roughly. Jasmine Beatty, our viewer, says, what is that saying, go big or go home? I would rather him go home. Justin Batman says, markets rallying late. One of our viewers, Alden Rose, says robots will make everything. Oh, here's a little more information about today. Hold on. Again, there's a little bit of noise going on in the background. I apologize for that. I am in Lima, Peru, doing this from Lima, Peru. AP says, Trump has dubbed April 2nd Liberation Day for his tariffs. Here's what to expect. Trump has repeatedly called today Liberation Day with promises to roll out a set of tariffs or taxes on imports from other countries that he says will free the U.S. from a reliance on foreign goods. To do this, Trump has said he'll impose reciprocal tariffs to match the duties that other countries charge on U.S. products, but a lot remains unknown about how these levies will actually be implemented. Since taking office months ago, Trump has proven to be aggressive with tariff threats, all while creating a sense of whiplash through on-again, off-again trade actions. And it's possible we'll see more delays or confusion this week. Trump has argued that tariffs protect U.S. industries from unfair foreign competition, raise money for the federal government, and provide leverage to demand concessions from other countries. But economists stress that broad tariffs at the rates suggested by Trump could backfire. Tariffs typically trickle down to the consumer through higher prices, and businesses worldwide also have a lot to lose if their costs rise and their sales fall. Details around the plans remain uncertain. Reciprocal tariffs could take the form of product-by-product duties, for example, or broader averages imposed across all goods from each country, or perhaps something else entirely. Also, remember this, previously delayed import taxes could take effect very soon. Trump's month-long delay on many goods, on tax tariffs on many goods from Canada and Mexico is set to lapse in early April. Earlier this month, Trump wrote on Truth Social that the extension granted for Mexican imports covered by the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement runs through today, but further confirmation around a specific date has not been issued since then. Also, his 25% tariffs on auto imports will start being collected tomorrow. So much happening. 16 minutes until 4 p.m. Eastern, guys. We're getting very close to Trump's tariffs announcement. As soon as I have a feed from the Rose Garden, I'm going to show it to you. What do you think is going to happen? One of our viewers said, so exciting. Our viewer Provoked Patriot says auto manufacturers making billions can afford to eat these tariffs. Yeah, but they won't. Our viewer Roger Shoemaker thinks farmers will be hit bad. Hey, thanks Michael Nelson for your support. Michael Nelson. Oh, I never ended the poll on YouTube, sorry. Michael Nelson said, robots will be making everything. That's why we have to get the manufacturing base back to our country. That's what Michael said. Thanks, Michael, for your support. I really appreciate that. Hey, thanks to Queen of the South for your support. That's so nice of you. 14 and a half minutes. Thank you, Corey2SS, for your support. Who says, I don't even know what this means. Will my QQQ and NVDA calls print? Trump rocket. That's from Corey. Thank you, Mufasa. Sorry, Mufasa. Mufasa says, will used cars be affected by tariffs? It's an interesting question. I mean, if they're already in the country, right? Well, a couple things here. If the car's already in the country, you're not bringing anything else in the country, in theory, before you sell the car. But I could see demand for used cars could change. For example, I don't know what's going to happen, but suppose there's less demand for new cars because they're more expensive. Maybe there's more demand for used cars and the price goes up. I read an interesting article about a week ago, and I'm trying to remember where I read it. But the article talked about how owning a car, or or leasing a car even, having a car where you need to pay for repairs could get a lot more expensive because a lot of repairs in the U.S. are done with imported parts. So tariffs on imported car parts can raise the cost of doing repairs in your car, which was quite interesting. I wonder if I have a link to that article. I think I might have written it down. But I thought that was an interesting take on this. So, for example, if you have a used car, it might be more expensive to own it if you have to repair it. Oh, look, I actually have this article, I think right here. Hold on a second. I thought this was quite interesting. Can I pull it up for you? Right here, look, I have it right in front of me. From repairs to insurance, Trump's auto tariffs could make owning a car more expensive. Now, these are the tariffs he's already announced, which are supposed to go into place tomorrow. These 25% tariffs on auto imports. AP says, Repairs for vehicles that currently use foreign-made parts are expected to get pricier, and as a result, hike insurance costs down the road. Insurance will go up if repairs go up. The cost goes up. One expert said, if you are bringing your car to get prepared, chances are it's going to have a part that comes from another country. That price you pay is likely going to be directly affected by the increase from these auto tariffs. Trump's proclamation from last week on auto tariffs points specifically to engines, transmissions, powertrain parts, and electrical components. The administration has also signaled the possibility of future expansion. Much of the car repair market has heavily relied on imports. This expert said, you can't walk into a dealership today and not see a United Nations of parts. So just an interesting thought about, an interesting piece of analysis about a way in which the auto tariffs, in which you might not initially think, a way in which they could make prices rise. Hey, thanks to PZ Papa Zulu, who says, I can't understand how people are surprised President Trump campaigned on abolishing DOE reciprocal tariffs, DOGE, closing the border, deporting criminal legal immigrants, etc., if they watched just one rally. Thank you, PZ Papa Zulu. Thank you so much. Thank you also, Anonymous Nobody, who said if these economists knew anything, they would be billionaires like Trump. Our viewer Schaff thinks that Trump will take the tariffs down after a couple of days. That's a whole other question, is will he make a big tariff announcement today and then in the coming days and weeks announce like agreements with different countries that take off the tariffs or reduce them? Beats me. Hey, it's less than 10 minutes until 4 Eastern time. Oh my gosh, guys. Wow. I don't have video from the Rose Garden yet. Here is a shot of the Dow Jones Industrial Average, up about 0.5%. As the market is going towards close today, how will the market react to these tariffs? Let's see here. Hang on a moment. Market, S&P 500 up 0.7% now. NASDAQ up about 1%. Russell 2000 up 1.3%. Maybe the markets think that the tariffs won't be as bad as initially was thought. I don't know. One of our viewers said, isolationism never works. Douthis says, how odd that they are waiting till the market closes to make the announcement. How could that be? One of our viewers, it just flew by, said, where is it here? I'm trying to find it. One of our viewers said the market isn't going to crash before the announcement. Ada Gedden says, is he waiting until the market's closed to speak? Well, the announcement is scheduled for 4 p.m., which is when the market's closed. Whether that was his specific intention in setting up the announcement for 4 p.m., I cannot say. But it was scheduled for 4 p.m., which is when the market's close. Guys, we have less than 7 minutes until 4 p.m. We are bringing you live breaking news, tariffs coverage. Oh my gosh. Reuters says that markets are on high alert ahead of Trump's, oops, that's not it. Markets on high alert ahead of Trump's tariff plan reveal. Financial markets remained volatile today as global investors inched closer to getting some clarity on President Trump's tariff plans. For weeks, President Trump has pegged today as Liberation Day, when he plans to impose an array of new tariffs that could upend the global trade system with big implications for corporate earnings, global growth, inflation, and Federal Reserve interest rate policy. A person familiar with the administration's deliberations told Reuters the tariffs are expected to be significant, hitting a wide range of countries, including close allies. Investors had kicked off the year with high hopes for pro-growth policies from Trump, but have been spooked by a barrage of tariff-related headlines. Reuters also says, while investors broadly agree the long-awaited announcement could be pivotal near-term or for global financial markets, they are unsure about which way prices will swing and what will come next, as negotiations could be protracted. We now have less than 5 minutes until 4 Eastern time. I have a feeling this will not start on time. I just have a feeling. All right, hang on a moment here. For about 4 minutes until 4 p.m. Eastern time. I'm just seeing if there's any major reveals being reported about what this announcement will be. I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen it yet, guys. Oh my gosh, look what I have for you. I think I have something for you. Oh no, I don't have it yet. Do I have it yet for you? Oh no, I don't. Oh, I might have it. Hold on. Yes, hang on a moment. I might have some video for you. Where is it here? Yes. All right, let me pull it up for you. I'm going to show you some video right now. Here we go. I need to get it on the screen for you. Please bear with me. In moments, I will have some video for you. I said, oh my gosh, because it's a whole scene out there at the Rose Garden. It's a whole scene, guys. We got a whole scene going on. You'll see it in a moment. Please give me one moment here. I am putting it on the screen for you. Here we go. Let's see here. I'm getting it on the screen for you right now. Please bear with me. We're almost there. Are you ready? Are you ready to see it? Here it is. Wow. Oh my gosh, it's the Rose Garden. Do we have volume? They're playing some music. It's the Rose Garden. It's live. I need to have it say on the screen, live, the White House. Look at all the people. Oops, that obviously is way too big. Let's make that smaller, shall we? It's the White House Rose Garden. People are hanging out. Oh, I gotta bump up the quality there. There we go. Oh my gosh, crazy. Okay, we have that. Let me just fix something here. Oh, I have another video too. Oh, the White House feed is live. Hold on. All right. Give me a moment here. I need to do something really quickly. Let me do something quick. How am I going to do this? Okay. All right. Hang on a moment. I have to... Is this going to work? Okay. Give me 2 seconds here because I need to set this up. I am preparing to show you the White House feed too. All right, so we have that there. Let me put this on the screen here. I'm going to take this off. I'm just going to leave it up there just so when it starts, that's the White House feed. So I just have to have that ready to go. And let me remove it for the moment. So it's a whole thing doing this. Again, I'm in Lima, Peru. I am not in my normal studio, so everything's a little more complex. But we are getting close to this announcement, as you can see. You are looking at a live shot of the Rose Garden. I can't play the music, and they were playing music before. What is this music? Yeah, I got to be careful with the music stuff, so I'm going to leave the music off. Shraki says, I can feel the liberation coursing through my veins. Yes, he is speaking from the Rose Garden. Oh, I'm sorry. Obviously, the clock has now started counting up, so I have to take the clock off. Sorry about that, because it's now after 4. So let me change the headline to any moment, not moment, any moment, Trump announces new tariffs, and then I have to just center this. Sorry, I'm just fixing this here. Just fixing this headline. Thanks for your patience while I fix the headline. Okay, I owe a couple thank yous, by the way. There, now we're good. Thank you so much to Dave Wilson. Dave, I have a Blue Sky account, but I don't usually use it, but maybe more in the future. Oh, is the president coming in now? What's happening? Hold on a second. Thanks, Romy and Elder Fox Document something. Documentary. Elder Fox Documentaries. What is going on? Hold on. Let me turn the volume on. Music still playing? Just piano music. Thank you also to The Versatile and Boomer Wow. Thank you. Sorry, I'm a little bit distracted because I'm just keeping an eye on everything and trying to make sure everything's set up to bring you the coverage when he starts talking. So I'm just kind of doing all that now. Thanks to all of our moderators, by the way. Hearsay, I Got That Fire, Matthew Kohai, 3 McBritches, Sarah Poppy Bear, Sarah Lee Dev over there on Twitch. Our moderators on Facebook, Kay Lowry, Body, Margaret Riley. We have other moderators here like Paul Anderson, Christina Neal, all of our Facebook moderators. Linda Belk, Larry, Misha on X. Thanks, Jess Griffiths, by the way, our new member on YouTube. And thank you to Danny James modding on YouTube. Beth Ski, Beth Mythical, thank you. Ruth Krafasi, all of our YouTube moderators. So we are looking live at the White House Rose Garden. We got some reporters there. It is a whole scene. They have flags, they have chairs. Oh, this is happening. Guys, just a heads up, when it starts, I will be probably switching to the White House feed, okay? So you might see the, oh, here it is right here. I'm switching to the White House feed right now. Here's the White House feed.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Nice crowd. What a good-looking group of people. Well, we have some very, very good news today, and a lot of good things are happening for our country. Please sit down. My fellow Americans, this is Liberation Day, waiting for a long time. April 2nd, 2025 will forever be remembered as the day American industry was reborn, the day America's destiny was reclaimed, and the day that we began to make America wealthy again. We're going to make it wealthy, good and wealthy. For decades, our country has been looted, pillaged, raped, and plundered by nations near and far, both friend and foe alike. American steel workers, auto workers, farmers, and skilled craftsmen, we have a lot of them here with us today. They really suffered gravely. They watched in anguish as foreign leaders have stolen our jobs, foreign cheaters have ransacked our factories, and foreign scavengers have torn apart our once beautiful American dream. We had an American dream that you don't hear so much about. You did 4 years ago, and you are now, but you don't too often, and for many years and decades even, you didn't hear too much about. Our country and its taxpayers have been ripped off for more than 50 years, but it is not going to happen anymore. It's not going to happen. In a few moments, I will sign a historic executive order instituting reciprocal tariffs on countries throughout the world. Reciprocal, that means they do it to us and we do it to them. Very simple, can't get any simpler than that. This is one of the most important days, in my opinion, in American history. It's our declaration of economic independence. For years, hardworking American citizens were forced to sit on the sidelines as other nations got rich and powerful, much of it at our expense. But now it's our turn to prosper, and in so doing, use trillions and trillions of dollars to reduce our taxes and pay down our national debt, and it'll all happen very quickly. With today's action, we are finally going to be able to make America great again, greater than ever before. Jobs and factories will come roaring back into our country, and you see it happening already. We will supercharge our domestic industrial base. We will pry open foreign markets and break down foreign trade barriers. And ultimately, more production at home will mean stronger competition and lower prices for consumers. This will be indeed the golden age of America. It's coming back. We're going to come back very strongly. We're pleased to be joined on this momentous occasion by Vice President J.D. Vance. J.D., thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Where are you, J.D.? No, that wasn't too hard to find. I was looking, you know, he likes to take a low-key attitude, so it'd usually be sitting right in front. He's gaining a lot of confidence, Mike, isn't he? And nearly my entire cabinet is here, as well as Speaker Mike Johnson, who's done an amazing job. And with the great success we had last night in Florida, we have a majority of 7. And 7's like a lot when we had it at 1, right? You've done a fantastic job. And many of the members of the House and Senate are with us. Senators, Congressmen, thank you all for being with us. We appreciate it. For decades, the United States slashed our trade barriers on other countries, while those nations placed massive tariffs on our products and created outrageous non-monetary barriers to decimate our industries. And in many cases, the non-monetary barriers were worse than the monetary ones. They manipulated their currencies, subsidized their exports, stole our intellectual property, imposed exorbitant VAT taxes to disadvantage our products, adopted unfair rules and technical standards, and created filthy pollution havens. They were absolutely filthy, but they always came to us and they said, we're violating, we should pay for it. It's all detailed in a very big report by the U.S. Trade Representative on Foreign Trade Barriers, and I'll just hold it up for you. It's available, and you don't have to pay too much. As I understand it, you'll pay nothing. It's a lot of work for something, actually, because it's a special book. It's very, frankly, it's very upsetting when you read it, when you see what people have been doing to us for 30 years. This all happened with no response from the United States of America, none whatsoever. But those days are over. Let me offer just a few examples of the vicious attacks our workers have faced for so many years. The United States charges other countries only a 2.4 tariff on motorcycles. Meanwhile, Thailand and others are charging much higher prices, like 60%. India charges 70%. Vietnam charges 75%, and others are even higher than that. Likewise, until today, the United States has for decades charged a 2.5 tariff. Think of that, 2.5% on foreign-made automobiles. The European Union charges us more than 10% tariffs, and they have 20% VATs, much, much higher. India charges 70%, and perhaps worst of all are the non-monetary restrictions imposed by South Korea, Japan, and very many other nations. As a result of these colossal trade barriers, 81% of the cars in South Korea are made in South Korea. 94% of the cars in Japan are made in Japan. Toyota sells 1 million foreign-made automobiles into the United States, and General Motors sells almost none. Ford sells very little. None of our companies are allowed to go into other countries. And I say that, friend and foe, and in many cases, the friend is worse than the foe in terms of trade. But such horrendous imbalances have devastated our industrial base and put our national security at risk. I don't blame these other countries at all for this calamity. I blame former presidents and past leaders who weren't doing their job. They let it happen, and they let it happen to an extent that nobody can even believe. That's why, effective at midnight, we will impose a 25% tariff on all foreign-made automobiles. Thank you. Brian, I'd like to have you come up here for a second, okay? I just see him sitting. He's been a fan of ours, and he understands this business a lot better than the economists, a lot better than anybody. Brian, say a few words, please, would you?
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
President.
It's a great honor to have you. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. President. I grew up just north of Detroit, Michigan, in Macomb County, known as the home of the Reagan Democrats. My first vote for president was for Ronald Reagan. I thought that was going to be the best president I ever saw in my lifetime until Donald J. Trump came along. I have watched my entire life, I have watched plant after plant after plant in Detroit and in the metro Detroit area close. There are now plants sitting idle. There are now plants that are underutilized, and Donald Trump's policies are going to bring product back into those underutilized plants. There's going to be new investment. There's going to be new plants built. And the UAW members, and I brought 20 of them with me, they're sitting right over here. We support Donald Trump's policies on tariffs 100%. So, Mr. President, we can't thank you enough. And in 6 months or a year, we're going to begin to see the benefits. I can't wait to see what's happening 3 or 4 years down the road. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. What a great guy. He got it right from the beginning. He got it before almost anybody else. This group over there, they got it too. And you know, we won the state of Michigan. We won almost all of them, but we won Michigan by a lot, and I want to just thank you all. The auto workers were fantastic. The Teamsters were fantastic. Everyone was pretty good, I will tell you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. You're going to be very happy very soon, and you probably see what's happening with all of the, not only car companies, but car companies in particular. See it with all of the ones they're moving, they're announcing day in, day out. You're seeing it. Nobody's ever seen anything like that. With today's actions, we're also standing up for our great farmers and ranchers who are brutalized by nations all over the world. Brutalized. Canada, by the way, imposes a 250 to 300% tariff on many of our dairy products. They do the first can of milk. They do the first little carton of milk at a very low price, but after that it gets bad, and then it gets up to 275, 300%. So when they're figuring what's Canada charging, they say, oh, about 2%, 3%. But take a look at what happens down the road. When you look a little bit, it's not a pretty picture, and we don't like it, and it's not fair. It's not fair to our farmers. It's not fair to our country. And with countries like Canada, we subsidize a lot of countries and keep them going and keep them in business. In the case of Mexico, it's $300 billion a year. In the case of Canada, it's close to $200 billion a year. And I say, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? I mean, at what point do we say, you got to work for yourselves and this is why we have the big deficits. This is why we have that amount of debt that's been placed on our heads over the last number of years, and we're really not taking it anymore. Through non-tariff barriers, the European Union bans imports of most American poultry. You understand? They say, we want to send you our cars, we want to send you everything, but we're not going to take anything that you have. Australia bans, and they're wonderful people and wonderful everything, but they ban American beef, yet we imported $3 billion of Australian beef from them just last year alone. Any of our beef, they don't want it because they don't want it to affect their farmers. And you know what? I don't blame them, but we're doing the same thing right now, starting about midnight tonight, I would say. And China charges American rice farmers an overquota, it's called, a tariff rate of 65%. South Korea charges 50%. Actually, they charge different, from 50% to 513%. And Japan, our friend, charges us 700%. But that's because they don't want us selling rice and other things. Who can blame them, Madam Secretary? Agriculture, great job you did on eggs, by the way. The egg prices came down 50%. You got them down 50% once we got involved. They were going through the sky. The egg prices, they were going through the sky, and you did a fantastic job. Now we have lots of eggs, and they're much cheaper, down about 59% now, and they're going down further. We charge 2.8% for so many things that other countries are charging 200%, 300%, and 400% for. If imposing tariffs and protective barriers made nations poor, then every country on earth would be racing to eliminate these policies, and China would be the first online. They run a very strong country, but they're not first in line, and the American people are paying a very big price. From 1789 to 1913, we were a tariff-backed nation, and the United States was proportionately the wealthiest it has ever been. So wealthy, in fact, that in the 1880s, they established a commission to decide what they were going to do with the vast sums of money they were collecting. We were collecting so much money so fast, we didn't know what to do with it. Isn't that a nice problem to have? What do you think, Marco? Good problem? Marco would love that problem. But we don't have that problem anymore, but we're not going to have it very much longer, I will tell you. But they collected so much money, they actually formed a commission to determine what they were going to do with the money, who they were going to give it to, and how much. Then in 1913, for reasons unknown to mankind, they established the income tax so that citizens, rather than foreign countries, would start paying the money necessary to run our government. Then in 1929, it all came to a very abrupt end with the Great Depression, and it would have never happened if they had stayed with the tariff policy. It would have been a much different story. They tried to bring back tariffs to save our country, but it was gone. It was gone. It was too late. Nothing could have been done. It took years and years to get out of that depression, far longer than even FDR had that office right over there for a long period of time. The ramp system, that's rather intricate, was built because of him, and every time you walk up, you think of him, and he did a great job in many ways, but it lasted long beyond his terms, as you know. But it's not too late any longer, and we're going to start being smart, and we're going to start being very wealthy again. We're going to be wealthy as a country because they've taken so much of our wealth away from us. We're not going to let that happen. We truly can be very wealthy. We can be so much wealthier than any country. It's not even believable, but we're getting smart. Nearly a century later, in the face of unrelenting economic warfare, the United States can no longer continue with a policy of unilateral economic surrender. We cannot pay the deficits of Canada, Mexico, and so many other countries. We used to do it. We can't do it anymore. We take care of countries all over the world. We pay for their military. We pay for everything they have to pay. And then when you want to cut back a little bit, they get upset that you're not taking care of care of our people, and we're going to take care of our people first, and I'm sorry to say that. And today we're standing up for the American worker, and we are finally putting America first. In Sleepy Joe Biden's last year in office, the United States hemorrhaged 100,000 manufacturing jobs, and the number was going through the roof at levels never seen before. And our trade deficit reached a record $1.2 trillion, which is unheard of. Since the beginning of NAFTA, the worst trade deal ever made, it was a horror show. I was able to terminate it. They all said you'd never be able to get it out. We had to get approval from Congress to get it terminated. We had to live with that deal. It was the worst deal, worst trade deal ever made by far. But since the very beginning of NAFTA, our country lost 90,000 factories. Think of what that is, 90,000. Think about putting a map up and putting tax on it. You wouldn't have enough room. 90,000. I said, is that possible? We had it checked 4 different times, and it was actually somewhat higher than that. And 5 million manufacturing jobs were lost while racking up trade deficits of $19 trillion. That was the worst trade deal ever made. As a result of these gigantic losses, foreign nations now own $26 trillion more of American assets than think of this, than the American assets or other foreign assets. The United States can no longer produce enough antibiotics to treat our sick. We have a tremendous problem. We have to go to foreign countries to treat our sick. If anything ever happened from a war standpoint, we wouldn't be able to do it. We import virtually all of our computers, phones, televisions, and electronics. We used to dominate the field, and now we import it all from different countries. A single shipyard in China now produces more ships every year than all of the American shipyards combined. Think of that. And it was a business that we used to dominate. We used to dominate it totally. In short, chronic trade deficits are no longer merely an economic problem. They're a national emergency that threatens our security and our very way of life. It's a very great threat to our country. And for these reasons, starting tomorrow, the United States will implement reciprocal tariffs on other nations. It's been a long time since we even thought of that. We used to think about it a lot. We didn't think about it for many decades, and you see what's happened. For nations that treat us badly, we will calculate the combined rate of all their tariffs, non-monetary barriers, and other forms of cheating. And because we are being very kind, we're kind people, very kind. You're not so kind when you got ripped off with your salaries. My auto worker friends and my Teamster friends and all of the unions that typically voted Democrat, they're not voting Democrat anymore because worker, whether union or non-worker, they're for the Republicans now. That's what happened. But we will charge them approximately half of what they are and have been charging us. So the tariffs will be not a full reciprocal. I could have done that, yes, but it would have been tough for a lot of countries who didn't want to do that. I'd like to see the chart if you have it. Could you bring it up, Howard? This is our great Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick. Thanks, Howard. So if you look at that, China, first row, China, 67%. That's tariffs charged to the USA, including currency manipulation and trade barriers. So 67%, I think you can, for the most part, see it. Those with good eyes, with bad eyes. We didn't want to bring, it's very windy out here. We didn't want to bring out the big charts because it had no chance of standing. Fortunately, we came armed with a little smaller chart. So it's 67%, so we're going to be charging a discounted reciprocal tariff of 34%. I think, in other words, they charge us, we charge them less, so how can anybody be upset? They will be because we never charge anybody anything, but now we're going to charge. European Union, they're very tough, very, very tough traders. You know, you think of European Union, very friendly. They rip us off. It's so sad to see. It's so pathetic. 39%, we're going to charge them 20%, so we're charging them essentially half. Vietnam, great negotiators, great people. They like me, I like them. The problem is they charge us 90%. We're going to charge them 46% tariff. Taiwan, where they took all of our computer chips and semiconductors. We used to be the king, right? We were everything. We had all of it. Now we have almost none of it, except the biggest company is coming in. We're going to end up with almost 40%. Lee Zeldin's working to get their approvals. And it's an amazing company. Mr. Wei, of one of the great companies of the world, actually. They're coming in from Taiwan, and they're going to build one of the biggest plants in the world, maybe the biggest for that. But 64%, we're going to charge them 32%. Japan, very, very tough, great people. And again, I don't blame the people for doing it. I think they're very smart in doing it. I blame the people that sat right in that Oval Office, right over there, right behind the Resolute desk or whichever desk they chose. Japan, 46%. They would charge us 46%, and much higher for certain items like cars, little items like cars. 46%, we're charging them 24%. India, very, very tough, very, very tough. The Prime Minister just left, and he's a great friend of mine, but I said, you're a friend of mine, but you're not treating us right. They charge us 52%. You have to understand, we charge them almost nothing for years and years and decades, and it was only 7 years ago when I came in, we started with China and charged them. We took in hundreds of billions of dollars from China in tariffs, and they understood, honestly. President Xi understood. He said, look, I understand, and the other countries, and they all understand. We're going to have to go through a little tough love, maybe, but they all understand. They're ripping us off, and they understood it. Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe. He was a fantastic man. He was unfortunately taken from us, assassination. But I went to him and I said, Shinzo, we have to do something. A trade is not fair. And he said, I know that. I know that. And he was a great gentleman. He was a fantastic man, but he understood immediately what I was talking about. I said, Shinzo, we have to do something. He said, I know that. And we worked out a deal, and it would have been a much better deal, but frankly, there were many years left on the deal that was made previous to my getting there, but it was something. If you look at Switzerland, 61% to 31%. Indonesia, Malaysia, Cambodia. Oh, look at Cambodia, 97%. We're going to bring it down to 49. They made a fortune with the United States of America. United Kingdom, 10%, and we'll go 10%. So we'll do the same thing. South Africa, 60%, 30%, and they've got some bad things going on in South Africa. We're paying them billions of dollars, and we cut the funding because a lot of bad things are happening in South Africa. The fake news ought to be looking at it. They don't want to report it. Brazil, 10%, 10%. Bangladesh is 74%. So you see what's going on. Pakistan, 58%. Sri Lanka, 88%. So what we're doing is we're taking not the full, we could take the full 88%. Thanks a lot, Howard. He's doing a very good job. How's he doing, all right? I think you better take it with you. It's not going to last very long. He's going to put it, it's going to follow you down with the wind. I brought a hat just in case it got too windy, but here, would anybody like a hat? I'm not giving it to a cabinet. I'm giving it to the auto workers. Come here. Thank you, fellas. Get it. That's it. That's it. They deserve it more than our cabinet. Our cabinet has plenty of hats. But you see the numbers. The numbers are so disproportionate. They're so unfair. At the same time, we will establish a minimum baseline tariff of 10%. You notice that on the chart. And that'll be on other countries to help rebuild our economy and to prevent cheating. So we're going to have a minimum of cheating, and we're going to be very severe on the people that at the gate that watch the tariffs and watch the product coming in, because there's been a lot of bad things happening at the gate because the money is so enormous that you're talking about. There's never been probably anything like it in terms of the enormity, and there are a lot of bad things happen at the people that do the check-in, and they're looking at 10-year jail sentences if they do play. We're going to treat them so good, but if they cheat, the repercussions are going to be extremely strong. Foreign nations will finally be asked to pay for the privilege of access to our market, the biggest market in the world. We're right now the biggest market in the world. We had a great country 4 years ago in terms of the economics. We were double. Well, nobody was going to catch us, but so much of it slipped away over the last 4 years under Biden. I campaigned on this policy throughout last year, and today that promise was made, and it was also a promise, as you know, that was kept. Promises made, promises kept. To any company that objects to our common sense reciprocal tariffs, again, reciprocal, back and forth, back and forth. And I call this kind reciprocal. This is not full reciprocal. This is kind reciprocal. But what we do is we cut it in half. We charge them. My answer is very simple if they complain. If you want your tariff rate to be zero, then you build your product right here in America, because there is no tariff if you build your plant, your product in America. And we've seen companies coming in like we've never seen before. Likewise to all of the foreign presidents, prime ministers, kings, queens, ambassadors, and everyone else who will soon be calling to ask for exemptions from these tariffs. I say, terminate your own tariffs, drop your barriers, don't manipulate your currencies. They manipulate their currencies like I even believe, which is a bad, bad thing and very devastating to us, and start buying tens of billions of dollars of American goods. Tariffs give our country protection against those that would do us economic harm. Many people were looking to do us economic harm. Maybe not so obviously, but they were doing tremendous economic harm. But even more importantly, they will give us growth. These tariffs are going to give us growth like you haven't seen before. And it'll be something very special to watch. I am so looking forward. And Brian, it's going to happen even faster than you said. You know, you might say, but it's already started. It's already started. Work's already begun on plants all around the country, and you see that as before. These are big, rich companies. We have $61 billion started on a big plant going up. It's going to be announced over the next 2 days, and they already started work. Many of these the biggest companies in the world, they've committed to build, build, build. We're going to build, 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 sir. And they came here to see me, and they wanted to know if they could have a press conference. I do as many as I can. I'm pretty busy trying to stop Russia and Ukraine and the Middle East. We got to stop that. We got to stop the Houthis, which we're making tremendous. They like shooting ships down and out of the water, sinking ships. They get a kick out of it, but they're not getting such a kick out of it now, are they, Mr. Secretary? They're not getting such a kick out of that now. But here are just a short list of some of the companies that have already announced and committed to investment. And this is a company that built its factories and its plants in China. Apple is going to spend $500 billion. They never spent money like that here. They're going to build their plants here. SoftBank, OpenAI, and Oracle, great companies, are investing $500 billion almost immediately. NVIDIA, a hot company, is investing hundreds of billions of dollars. They just announced. TSMC, the biggest, most important company in the world of chips from Taiwan, with no investment from us, is investing $200 billion. And they said the reason was, number one, the election of November 5th, and number two, the tariffs. They don't want to pay the tariffs, and the way they're not paying it is to build their plant here. So we're going to go from almost no percentage. We used to have 100% of the chip market. Now it's all in Taiwan. Almost all of it's in Taiwan. A couple of other countries, but mostly in Taiwan. And think of it. We had 100%. We lost it because of people in that office that didn't do their job. They allowed it to be stolen from us. Johnson & Johnson, great company, $55 billion. Eli Lilly, $27 billion. Meta is investing $500 billion. Wow. DeMac is investing $20 billion. CMA, CGM, $20 billion. And then you have Merck and Clarios, Stellantis, General Motors, GE Aerospace, Honda, Nissan, Hyundai are all putting in billions and billions of dollars, and they're committed 100%. So And we've never had, and this is after 2.5 months. This is after just a short, this all took place as soon as we came out with what everybody wanted to do. You know, I watched a gentleman today on television, he used to work with Lee Iacocca, a very respected automobile person, and he said, you know, because they're asking people, and they try and get as many negative people as they can, but they can't find them too much. It's pretty hard to find in terms of what we're doing, especially when they see all this investment. They said, so tell me, what do you think of what Trump is doing from the automobile standpoint? He said, I can't believe it. Somebody is finally, he's an older guy, real pro, really top guy, with Lee Iacocca. He said, I never thought I'd see the day when this would happen, where somebody had the courage to go and do what has to be done. This is transforming our nation. Our entire nation is going to be transformed, not only with the cars, but on every single other item that's built. We're going to become an industrial powerhouse. And he said that so beautifully today. In fact, I'm going to find out, I'm going to get a tape, and Bruce, I'm going to get that tape, and I'm going to send it to you out in Long Island, and you're going to play it for the people. And all your union workers and your non-union workers out there, you got a pretty even split. But we have, so far, it looks like we're going to have about $6 trillion of investments, and you wouldn't do that in years in this country over the last number of years. $6 trillion, and that's going to be much higher by the end of the year. And think of what $6 trillion is. You wouldn't have even a small percentage of that under this other system. We're going to be an entirely different country, and it's going to be fantastic for the workers. It's going to be fantastic for everyone. There will never have been a transformation of a country like the transformation that's already happening in the United States of America. It's an incredible thing to watch, and it's incredible to meet with the top people, people that you read about, very wealthy people, or people that are great managers and executives and presidents of big public companies, and to watch the enthusiasm they have now that they didn't have. They gave up on our country. They went to foreign countries and they built. Companies are pouring into our country at levels never seen before, with jobs and money to follow, and it's really beautiful. In the coming days, there will be complaints from the globalists and the outsourcers and special interests and the fake news. Always, the fake news will always complain. But never forget, trade for the last 30 years has been proven totally wrong. They were wrong about NAFTA. They were wrong about China. They were wrong about the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which would have been a disaster if I didn't terminate it. If I didn't terminate that, United Auto Workers, you would have had no jobs in this country. You would have had no jobs. It was all going to other countries. In my first term, they said tariffs would crash the economy. Instead, we built the greatest economy in the history of the world. And again, I have great respect for President Xi of China, great respect for China, but they were taking tremendous advantage of us, and I commend them for that. I say, hey, if you can get away with it, that's okay. But, you know, they understand exactly what's happening, and they probably, most of them are saying it's about time they did something, but and they're going to fight, and they're going to fight fair. Everyone's going to fight. You know, it's like, I say to the leaders, look, you got to take care of your country, but we have to start taking care of our country now. We can't do what we've been doing for the last 50 years. From the day of my election, the stock market went up in my first term 88%, with NASDAQ going up 155%, more than any president has ever had in any term in office, by far. And I think we're going to blow that away, and maybe the numbers won't show, but I think they're going to show much better than even those numbers. But what you're going to see is you're going to see activity, that empty, dead sites, factories that are falling down. Those factories will be knocked down, and they're going to have brand new factories built in their place. They're not only talking about renovating, they're talking about brand new, the best anywhere in the world, the biggest anywhere in the world. I have a friend who builds car plants, and I said, I want to see the biggest and the best. He said, well, we have to go to Mexico. I said, no, I want to see it in the United States. He said, we're not building them in there. This is a year and a half ago during the campaign. He said, we're not building it. You'd have to go to Mexico. When I was starting to decide to run, and I went to #1 in the polls very rapidly, I want to say, like, let's say in the first hour. And then shortly thereafter, it looked like I was going to win, and the fake news was saying, oh, no, don't do this. What they don't know is if I didn't win, they would have really been in trouble because nobody wants to read them anyway. But I tell you what, when it doing exactly what we're talking about today. Great consistency, actually, because I've been talking about it for 40 years. But because I saw what was happening 40 years ago. If you look at my old speeches when I was young, very handsome, my old speeches, and that people would say, I'd be on a television show, I'd be talking about how we were being ripped off by these countries. I mean, nothing changes very much. The only thing that changed were the countries, but nothing really changes. But, it's why it's such an honor. It's such an honor to be finally able to do this. If you look at China, I took in hundreds of billions of dollars in my term, hundreds of billions. They never paid 10 cents to any other president, and yet they paid hundreds of billions, so much so that Biden couldn't do anything. They wanted to try and terminate it because he had a very special relationship with China. You know what the relationship was? He had a special relationship. But the numbers were so big, that they couldn't do it. So they did ease it up. They did things that they shouldn't have done. They made it a lot more comfortable for them, but they couldn't do it because the numbers were hundreds of billions of dollars, and I did that. And we were on our way to doing something like incredible. And then we had a very bad election happen, a very bad election. A lot of bad things happened. So when I said we got to do it again, I said we have to make it too big to rig. And we made it too big to rig, and we won in records, and it was a monumental win. And it was such an honor to see so many of you, like Brian and your friends, here with us to celebrate and to, more importantly, celebrate what we're doing, because that wouldn't be a full celebration if we didn't do this, because this will be an entirely different country in a short period of time. It'll be something the whole world will be talking about it. The critics made the very tired predictions earlier this year, but in February, core inflation dropped to the lowest rate in 4 years. And the price of eggs, as you know, just in a month and a half, we were there for 4 weeks. And the first week, I got blamed for eggs. I said, I just got here. They said eggs have gone up at like 250%, and you can't get eggs. And they were going crazy. And I said, I just got here. And then we got to work on eggs, and we got to work on everything. And our great Secretary of Agriculture, you did a fantastic job. Brooke Rollins, she did a fantastic job. And as I said before, the price of eggs dropped now 59%, and they're going down more, and the availability is fantastic. They were saying that for Easter, please don't use eggs. Could you use plastic eggs? I said, we don't want to do that. We want to, and you really came through. It's an amazing job. Thank you very much, Brooke. You did great. But likewise, an old-fashioned term that we use, groceries. I used it in the campaign. It's such an old-fashioned term, but a beautiful term, groceries. Egg with different things in it. Groceries went through the roof, and I campaigned on that. I talked about the word groceries for a lot, and energy costs now are down, groceries are down, gas beginning to be able to buy things and live again. We brought prices way down. We created 10,000 already in a few weeks, new manufacturing jobs, and it was that took place in 1 month. Numbers that they haven't seen in a long time. We had virtually no inflation under my term. We had virtually no inflation for 4 years, but after transitioning over to Sleepy Joe, it went from almost non-existent to the highest in the history of our country. They had the highest inflation in the history of our country, brought up by energy and bad policy, and a lot of bad things happened. How about allowing millions and millions and millions of people to pour into our country with open borders, where it's so sad to see even now, and I see our great secretary you have done, stand up please, Christy, stand up. Christy Noem and Tom Homan. These people are doing a great job, but gotten them out in records. We have problems with judges that don't want them to go out. They want Tren de Aragua, and they want MS-13, the most vicious gangs ever. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Absolute killer gangs. They kill people. They don't even think about it. and we put them out, and we have judges now, radical left judges that they don't want them to go out. They want them to even be brought back. Let's bring them back. You've done a fantastic job, and please thank everybody. Homeland Security, thank everybody. Appreciate it. And we now have a border that's the best border that we've ever had, better than it was my first term. My first term, this one we really specialized in. We've done really well. And with the best, safest border. 4 years ago, we had the best. We actually matched.
Let me just
Get
refresh
it down
something here,
the
guys.
right way. And we want people, by the way, to come into our country, but we want to come in through a legal process. And legally, we need more people. We need people to run these plants and to help the auto workers and the Teamsters and the non-union people and everybody else. But we need people, and the farmers. And we're going to let people come in, but they want to come in. We want them to come in legally. They have to have the capability of loving our country, not people that hate our country. And now we're going to pass the largest tax cut in history, and that's where we're relying on Mike and John Thune. And we will not cut Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid benefits, and the Democrats will, because if they got in, the entire economy would collapse. This country was heading for a collapse under the people that you saw. They were horrible. I think one of the reasons people like the job, I have my highest approval ratings because I think they're comparing me to the worst administration in the history of our country, so I appreciate that at least. But Speaker of the House Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader, appreciate it, Mike. John Thune have been fantastic, by the way. But they've been working tirelessly on taking the next step to pass the plan for our one big, beautiful bill. I'd like to name it that if you can. One big, beautiful. I made that statement about 6 months ago, and everybody calls it one big, beautiful bill. And it will be that. It'll have everything, the big cuts and every incentive there is. And it'll be fantastic. And by the way, for the cars, we're asking for an interest deduction on a loan. So if you build the car, only in America we do it, Brian. If the car's not built in America, you don't get the interest rate deduction. But if you build the car in America, if you buy a car, if it's built in America, then you get an interest rate deduction, tax deduction, and that's a big thing. That's going to be a big thing. I think that's going to pay for itself very quickly, that deduction. Never happened. We've never had anything like that before. Somebody said, where do you get the idea? Because it's so basic. You would think that would have happened a long time ago. It never did, and I'm very happy it didn't, because now I can say that was my idea. But we're going to get us closer to the debt extension. We have to get the debt extension passed, and I know you're going to be able to do that, Mike, and it's very important that you do that. And all of the other things that the Senate budget plan gives us, along with working, because I know they're working together, John and Mike, and the two bills are going very well together. We need to get our shared priorities done, including certain permanent tax cuts. We want the tax cuts to be permanent, spending cuts, energy and historic investments in defense, border, and so much more. We're covering everything. These will be phenomenal. There'll be no bill like this going to straighten. One bill is going to straighten out our country for many, many years to come. And we said, let's just do it and let's get it done. And some guys will love it and some guys will like it a little bit less because they're not getting what they were exactly looking for, but they're getting a lot. They'll never, if we get this done, it'll be the most incredible bill ever passed in the history of our Congress and Senate and congressmen, the senators and the congressmen, many of whom are here today, will be very proud of themselves. I really believe that. It's going to set us on a whole new prosperous path. We're going to cut spending and right-size the budget back to where it should be. We're going to do that very strongly. Thank you, Rick. Thank you. John, thank you. Oh, look at all of our senators over there. Oh, boy. That's a nice group of people. But I won't like them so much if they don't get this bill done. That's a great group. And Congressman, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Tremendous people. The Senate plan is my complete and total support, and the House plan likewise is very similar. They're moving along pretty much at the same clip, and as soon as you're ready, you'll show it to me, and I'm sure it'll have my support, Mike. Every Republican congressman and senator must unify. We have to unify. We can't be separated. We have to get it done. We have to get absolutely everything we can, and we have to take care of the American people. That's the only thing that matters. We have to take care of the American people first. We need to pass this bill immediately, get it done, including debt extension. From this day on, we're not going to let anyone tell us that American workers and families cannot have the future that they deserve. We're going to produce the cars and ships, chips, airplanes, minerals, and medicines that we need right here in America. The pharmaceutical companies are going to become roaring back. They're coming roaring back. They're all coming back to our country, because if they don't, they got a big tax to pay. And if they do, I'll be very happy, and you're going to be very happy, and you're going to be very safe. We're going to build our future with American hands, with American heart, American steel, and we're going to build it with American pride like we used to. We're approaching our 100th day as president, and have been given credit by a lot of people, actually, even some of the fake news. Can you believe it? Which in this case hopefully isn't fake, for having done more in that time than any other administration in the history of our country in the first 100 days. I think we've had an amazing, in terms of what we've done, what we've gotten accomplished. I'd like to see if we can get that war ended and another war from not starting in the Middle East. We have to get Russia. They're losing 2,000 on average, 2,500 people a day, young people, soldiers, Russian. Think of that, 2,500 through some days, but on average, probably over about a 1 week period, it's 2,712, they say. They're losing those soldiers. They're dying. They're being decimated. And they're not from our country, but they're from other countries. But they're human beings. They're from Russia. They're from Ukraine in this period, most of them. And we're going to get it stopped. It's a senseless war that would have never happened if I was president, and it shouldn't be allowed to go on. And I think we're being given good cooperation by Russia and by Ukraine, but we have to get it stopped. It's humanity. It's humanity. It's a terrible thing. This will be a very big moment. I think you're going to remember today. It's going to be a free nation that we're dealing with. We're going to have a very free and beautiful nation. It'll be Liberation Day in America, and it's going to be a day that hopefully you're going to
Hang on.
most. God bless you and God bless America. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Major new tariffs from Trump. Major tariffs announcement we just heard from President Trump. We need to talk about this. I will wait until he walks off. Major new tariffs announced by President Trump. Is he going to sign something here, or is he? I think he might do another appearance after this, maybe, or is he going to do the signing? Oh, look, they're going to have him sign it now.
Good afternoon, y'all. We have two documents prepared for the president's signature today. One closes what's referred to as the de minimis loophole with respect to imports from the People's Republic of China. The other is the big one, is the reciprocal tariff executive order that the president just spoke about at length. This is obviously a huge deal, and it's been an honor to be a part of your team getting this ready for you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank
Yes,
you. This is big stuff.
He's signing it. We can't really see him, though. He's there. He is there. I'm hearing the pen. These are huge new tariffs.
That's a 10. That's a good one. Look. That's a good one.
Oh, on many countries, this was more than.
That's a good one.
On many countries, this was more than expected. These
Thank you.
tariffs.
Thank you, sir.
I'm hearing the pen again.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to hand out these pens now, if I can. Come on over. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Come up here, Madam Secretary. Thank you, everybody. Get it done, Mike.
He's making his way off. All right. Wow. Major new tariffs announcement by President Trump. We got to talk about this. First of all, I want to apologize. I am in Lima, Peru right now, and I'm bringing you this from Peru. It's not my normal setup, and I felt so bad. There was a bit of a video audio sync issue, and I spent about a half an hour trying to fix it, and I couldn't fix it while we were on the air. I'm so sorry about it. I don't know what happened. This is what happens sometimes when I'm using the remote setup. Things just happen. So I really do apologize. I felt terrible about it, but there was really nothing I could do without shutting the stream down. So thanks for bearing with me and understanding. I'll look at it after and fix it after. So I really felt bad about that. Anyways, I appreciate you sticking with the broadcast in spite of that, but I felt terrible about it. That aside, President Trump announced huge new tariffs. If you've been looking at our ticker or you heard the announcement, I mean, these numbers in many cases on many countries are way above what was anticipated. What he said is that the White House had calculated some average tariff from each country, and they were going to charge the countries half of that. But first of all, every country, 10% baseline on imported goods from every single country. By the way, that could have just been the announcement. He could have just said we're charging everyone we're charging 10% on all imported goods, because remember, the tariffs are paid in the U.S. The importers of the goods bringing them into the U.S. pay the tariffs. Other countries don't pay the tariffs. But he could have just said 10% tariff on all imports. And from what I understand, that would have been like, okay, well, that's significant. Maybe it's a little bit less than we thought, but that's significant. No, that's just the baseline. For many countries, it is way above that and much more than was anticipated. So the White House actually posted these diagrams, the chart, and let me show you the chart. You can see it on the White House chart what these exact numbers are. But these are some huge new tariffs on many countries. So here it is right here. Hold on. I have it right here. Okay, that's not it. Hold on, I'm pulling it up for you right now. Here, I got it. Okay, I have to display this properly. Let me do this. Here's how I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it this way. Hold on. I want to do it. Hold on a moment here. All right, first of all, just look at this. You see it says reciprocal tariffs, tariffs charged for the U.S., U.S. discounted reciprocal tariffs. China will be charged, all goods from China, 34%. All goods from Vietnam, 46%. All goods from European Union, 20%. All goods from Taiwan, 32%. All goods from Japan, 24%. All goods from India, 26%. All goods from South Korea, 25%. All goods from Thailand, 36%. You can see it right there. Where is, hold on a second here. These are major new tariffs. Oh, here's what I'll do. I'll show you. Right here. Here, I'll make it bigger for you. Here. There we go. There we go. Now you can really see it. Check this out. You can see it says, I saw a reporter online say it wasn't clear how the U.S. had calculated this, but it says tariffs charged for the U.S. Then it says U.S. discounted reciprocal tariffs. What exactly does it say there? To make it bigger so I can see. It's so small. But you can see these numbers. Cambodia, 49% tariffs on Cambodia, 24% on Malaysia, 32% on Indonesia, 30% on South Africa, Bangladesh, 37%, Pakistan, 29%, Sri Lanka, 44%. By the way, Myanmar, which just had an earthquake, I believe they're at something like 44%. Laos, 48%. So again, he could have just said 10% on everyone. That would have been seen as like significant. That would have been seen as like, okay, that's something we thought might happen. Maybe less than he might have done, but that's certainly significant in what he and in the realm of what we talked about might happen. This is 10% baseline on everyone. But then many of these countries, way more than that. One of our viewers said, where is Russia? You know, I have all of the different charts. I have to just pull them up. You know, I believe that the UK and Canada were not on this. So UK and Canada, he had announced 25% tariffs on them a month ago. Not UK and Canada, I'm sorry. Mexico and Canada. Mexico and Canada about a month ago, he announced 25% tariffs and said they were going to be delayed for a month. And I don't know what's happening with those right now. I don't believe they're on this list. When did these take effect? Yesterday, I have to read what he signed. Yesterday, the press secretary said immediately. I'm going to see if I have a copy. If eventually the White House will post the document he signed. But in terms of, is Russia on here? I don't know. Did anyone see? Midnight, one of our viewers said, I have to read it. There's so much going on. So I haven't looked through all of these and all of the different names of the countries. This is from the White House X account where they posted these different things here. Now what did I do? Now I have to get back to where I was before. So confused. But again, that's the first one right there. Now what did I do? All right, anyways, you're seeing. So in many cases, these are way more than was anticipated. All right, let me try to find you some more updates here. Give me a moment here. Let me just try to find you some news updates here. Also, I don't know if he's going to make another appearance. So there's a lot going on right now. So just give me a moment here, and let me just check on a couple things. I want to take some comments from you guys. There's just a lot going on right now. So let me just see. Okay, I don't see anything right there for the moment about him doing another appearance. So we'll see if that happens. Oh, David Wallace Wells, who I follow, he just reposted someone named Matthew Zeitlin from Heatmap News. And Matthew Zeitlin claimed that a CNBC anchor said, the market reaction after hours, I've never seen anything like this, is worse than the worst case scenario in terms of what the market expected. Oh, hold on a second. Sarah Cook reports from CBS News. According to White House officials, Canada and Mexico are exempt from these new tariffs, though they are still subject to the fentanyl and migration tariffs. If those were to be terminated or suspended, then Canada and Mexico will default to the reciprocal tariffs announced today. So the Canada and Mexico is still the 25%, I think it is, but have those come into effect? There's a lot going on right now. I have not seen, by the way, quick thanks for your support. Fred Witherow. Let me just thank a couple people, but there's a lot happening. Hang on. Bebop and Rocksteady, MB, Sean Stiers. Thanks for your support. Sevenfold, Lethal Old Fart, Mike K, Chono Vagrant, Jess Griffiths, The Versatile, and also, hang on one moment here. Sam Dean over on Twitch, Fun Employed, thank you. So I have yet to see the official order he signed, and they haven't emailed it out yet, the White House, and it is not posted on their website yet. So we have to see what the actual order says. Hang on a moment here. Oh, breaking news. Just so people know. Eamon Javers of CNBC reports this. Oh, I have to fix my breaking news graphics. That's another thing that's not working the way I want it to. Oh, no, it is working. Hold on a second here. Is this going to work? Let's see. News update. News update. According to Eamon Javers at CNBC, he says he heard from the White House press secretary that she has confirmed the 34% tariff on China is on top of the previous 20% tariffs that President Trump had already implemented on China. So that means that when these tariffs take effect, the total tariff rate on China will be 54%. Again, this is Eamon Javers with CNBC has just reported that the press secretary confirms that these 34% tariff on China is on top of the previous 20% Trump implemented. So now that is a 54% tariff rate on everything coming from China. 54%. I don't know how the auto tariff stuff works on top of this, one of our viewers asked. Those auto tariffs, 25% on imported cars, is supposed to start tomorrow. Wow. Wow. These are big tariffs, major new tariffs on many countries, significantly larger than was anticipated. Give me one moment here. I'm going to get you some reaction. I've heard some different things about futures, so I want to get you some information about that. Oh, I have an update you. According to Bloomberg, news update. According to Bloomberg, the new taxes will take effect after midnight. The baseline import taxes will take effect after midnight Saturday, and the higher duties will kick in at 12:01 a.m. on April 9th. April 9th. So are there going to be deals before then? I thought the press secretary said yesterday they take place immediately. Bloomberg is reporting that the higher tariffs than the 10% take place on April 9th. And again, Bloomberg says the baseline import taxes will take effect after midnight Saturday, and the higher duties will kick in at 12:01 a.m. on April 9th, in a week, according to senior administration officials. So I guess they're not coming in to force immediately. Again, that is a report from Bloomberg. That's important to keep in mind. They say the baseline 10% on all countries will take effect after midnight on Saturday. That's several days from now. And the higher duties will kick in a week from now at 12:01 a.m. on April 9th. D. Anton D. Gray says, "Ha, fooled you." We might have to do a poll about this. Here is the poll we're doing. Yes or no poll. Will the tariffs be reduced before taking effect? Yes or no? Be significantly reduced. I just posted the poll in YouTube. I'm going to post it on Twitch now. Will the tariffs be significantly reduced before taking effect? Okay, I just posted the poll on YouTube and Twitch. Let me just post it on Facebook, and then I will take some more comments from you guys. But I want to see, again, they have not taken effect yet. Yesterday, the press secretary said they were going to take effect immediately. That apparently was false information or information that got, or maybe the decision was changed on that. Who knows when this final decision on this was made? All right, let's see what you guys had to say about our poll question. I said to you guys, hang on a moment here, one moment here. Will the tariffs be significantly reduced before taking effect? Oopsie. There we go. Okay. YouTube. The current poll result on YouTube, I'm going to post that right now. The current poll result on YouTube is, I am posting it. Here it is. YouTube is divided. Oops, here we go. 54% say the tariffs will not be significantly reduced before taking effect. But 46% of you say they will be significantly reduced, about half and half. Remember, the baseline 10% comes into effect. What was the exact quote by? I can't remember the exact quote. I'm going to read you the exact quote by Bloomberg. Bloomberg reported that the baseline import taxes will take effect after midnight Saturday, and the higher duties will kick in at 12:01 a.m. on April 9th. So about half and half over there. Slightly more of you think that they will not be reduced significantly before taking effect. Okay. Now, let's see what people said over there on Twitch. Our Twitch viewers said, wow, it's like the same thing. It's the same as YouTube. 54% say no, they will not be significantly reduced before taking effect. 46% say yes. All right. And on Facebook, the result is 67% say no, 33% say yes. Why would he reduce them, says Jimmy DeGriz? Because the idea would be that some country will negotiate with him, and they'll say, we'll lower our tariffs if you reduce yours or something. You know what I'm saying? And he can say, we made a deal and got something better for the American people. Chemo thinks the market will crash tomorrow. Hang on. You know, when I go to futures sites, I see different numbers on different sites where talking about stock futures. I have a hard time finding which one to go to. Like CNN has some futures. Is that the ones I should be looking at? I don't know. According to CNN, they say that NASDAQ futures are down 2.3%, S&P 500 down 1.6%, and Dow down 0.5%. That's according to their site. But maybe other sites say something different. But it also says it was updated as of 5 p.m. Eastern Time, which was 20 minutes ago. So that might not be updated. CNBC says that that a fund which tracks the S&P 500 lost about 2% after hours. A fund that corresponds to the NASDAQ 100 dropped 3.3% after hours. So I guess in theory, these funds trading after hours are a sign of what people think the stock market's going to do, or how the value of the stock market, how the value of the stocks in these indexes has changed. So according to CNBC, they say after hours, a fund that tracks S&P 500 is down about 2%. A fund that tracks the NASDAQ is down 3.3%. A fund that tracks the Dow Jones lost 1%. They also say that they talk about that there are companies that are big importers that were hit after hours. And they say Nike lost 6%, for example, and General Motors lost 3%. Yeah, Nike is down almost 7% after hours. General Motors down about 3% after hours. For those who care about it, Tesla stock is down about 5% after hours, after going up about 5% today. Hang on one second here. So in case you're just joining us, major new tariffs announced by President Trump. 10% on all countries, but many countries way more than that. But the new tariffs, the 10% doesn't. The 10% starts on Saturday, and according to Bloomberg, the 10% starts on Saturday, and the higher ones start on a week from now, on April 9th. Bloomberg says the baseline 10% will kick in at 12:01 a.m. Sorry, the baseline import taxes will take effect after midnight Saturday, and the higher duties will kick in at 12:01 a.m. on April 9th. What do you guys think? Sergey thinks a 32% tariff on Taiwan means chips, laptops, computers, etc. are going to get a lot more expensive. Trump is trying to crash the U.S. economy. Thank you also Andreas, who says he is a Trojan horse. Channeling Gary says, so Liberation Day, wait till April 9th? Thanks Boomer Wow, who says Walmart CEO is going to have a heart attack. House of Stitches says, what did we charge for tariffs before? I don't know if and how much tariffs were on any of these countries and to what degree. Maybe there were specific ones. I do not know. Thanks, House of Stitches. I understand it's an interesting question. I don't have an answer for you. Bebop and Rocksteady says, why do they charge us so much? And if they do, why can't we charge them unless people are claiming countries don't charge tariffs for our products? Thank you, MB, for your support, by the way. Let me just show you this graph again, for those who haven't seen it. It's pretty striking. We'll have to see if they, to me, you know, we'll have to see if they actually come into effect. I mean, how many times we've seen this before? We've seen the tariffs on Mexico and Canada twice. Twice President Trump put big tariffs on Mexico and Canada. Twice they've been delayed. You know, so are we really going to see all these tariffs come into effect? I don't know. Here you can see this right there, though. Just as an example. China, 34% tariff. European Union, 20%. Vietnam, 46%. Taiwan, 32%. Japan, 24%. India, 26%. South Korea, 25%. Thailand, 36%. Switzerland, 31%. Indonesia, 32%. Malaysia, 24%. Cambodia, 49%. UK is the minimum, 10%. South Africa, 30%. Bangladesh, 37%. Israel, 17%. Philippines, 17%. Nicaragua, 18%. Norway, 15%. Sri Lanka is 44%, by the way. LL says Vietnam is cooked. 46%. These are on everything. As I understand it, these are on everything. Strong One said this is like an economic nuke. Hey, thank you, Lynn Z, for your support. Also, Sean. Sean and some other people have asked about Russia. I don't know. I mean, there's a bunch of sanctions on Russia, so I don't know if I haven't seen them on any of these lists. Maybe because there's already sanctions on them, and maybe because a lot of stuff isn't imported from there. I'm not sure exactly, but my guess is maybe something like that. I don't know the exact sanctions on Russia right now. The U.S. Trade Representative says the U.S. imported goods from Russia totaled $3 billion in 2024. So I don't know what the deal is with that. Bloomberg reports, now again, I've seen some different numbers about futures. Bloomberg reports that S&P 500 futures sank 1.9% and NASDAQ futures slid 2.7%. Automaker shares are trading lower virtually across the board. Bloomberg also says they talked to an expert at the Peterson Institute for International Economics who said the tariffs that Trump announced were much worse than feared. She said there were huge implications for rerouting of trade globally. Remember, Trump did say that he would consider lowering rates if other countries removed their own trade barriers. Wow. Huge new tariffs. Huge new tariffs. Oh, look, AP posted a list. Here's a full list of what Trump is calling reciprocal tariffs. Again, every country, minimum of 10%. China, 34%. European Union, 20%. South Korea, 25%. Basically, when you import goods from these countries, you have to pay this percentage of the value of the goods to the United States government. The Americans importing this stuff. Remember that China 34%, according to CNBC's Eamon Javers, is on top of the 20% new tariffs on all Chinese goods that President Trump has already put on them. So that would mean a total of 54%. India 26%, Vietnam 46%. Taiwan 32%, Japan 24%, Thailand 36%, Switzerland 31%, Indonesia 32%, Malaysia 24%, Cambodia 49%. Just highlighting some of the larger ones. South Africa 30%, Bangladesh 37%, Philippines 17%, Israel 17%, Pakistan 29%, Sri Lanka 44%. Oh, what is this? Our viewer mentioned some futures tickers. Are those right? One of our viewers mentioned that. What is it? So NQ is NASDAQ. I'm going to write these down. Are these futures tickers? Hold on. I found it myself. Okay. NQYM RTY and ES. Is that what it is? So NASDAQ futures, if that's correct, are down 2.3%. Dow Jones down about 0.5%. ES doesn't seem right. Russell 2000 down 2.35%. But again, look, I mean, this is just futures for tomorrow. You know, if in the big scheme of things, stocks went down 2% from all this, that would not be a huge drop. So the question is more, what happens in the longer term with the stock market? Do we have an official post from the White House with the actual document yet? That I would love to show you. Oh, there might be a White House fact sheet out. Have they posted it on their site? Is this it? I got it. It's right here. Look, here it is. This is the fact sheet right here from the White House from today. The 10% tariff on all countries will take effect April 5th, 2025 at 12:01 a.m. The higher tariffs on various countries will take effect on April 9th at 12:01 a.m. So we have about the 10% on all countries comes into effect, roughly speaking, in about 54 hours or so, right? Now, there's some exceptions like steel, aluminum articles, and auto parts, which are already subject to other tariffs, and some goods like copper, pharmaceuticals. I think these are tariffs that he said he's going to put additional tariffs. These are goods he said he's going to put additional tariffs on, like copper, pharmaceuticals, semiconductors, and lumber articles. For Canada and Mexico, the existing tariff orders remain in effect, which is a 25. When do those start? He still has not said when the Canada and Mexico tariffs are actually going to be implemented because he put a hold on them. I don't see anything here about when those Canada and Mexico tariffs will actually be implemented. Oh, thanks, Dan Barone. Thank you, Dan, for mentioning for your support and for mentioning those ticker symbols. Thank you, Dan. Yeah, Jenna Ferrari Maggio mentioned Mexico's tariffs. They already have, Mexico and Canada already have 25% ones, but they've been put on hold by Trump. And again, I don't know when they're coming into effect. All right, this is just stuff from the White House. But there are the times right there. Austin Batman saw that the president of EU's executive body will make a statement at 11 ET, PM ET. Is that true? I don't know. I am looking for updates here. I am very interested in seeing if these all actually get implemented or not. Some of these are, I mean, these are big tariffs. Some of them way bigger than anticipated. A week from now, will they actually be implemented, or will there be some deal reached? I'm checking some of the things people have sent me. Harold Waffles says, is there any truth on the column to the tariffs charged to the USA? Can you fact check those numbers? Well, I can't fact check those numbers. I had mentioned earlier that I had seen a post from I've seen a couple posts from reporters. I think it was reporters that, see if I can find it here. Yeah, like Robbie Gramer at Politico said that, where is it here? He said it wasn't clear. He didn't know how the White House calculated the other countries' tariffs on the U.S. number. And then Ishan Tharoor of the Washington Post said he thought that many countries are going to dispute the accuracy of the Trump administration's calculations of those numbers. I have no idea. I don't know. I don't believe that was explained in any kind of detail of where that number came up. Currently charged for the USA. It says also including currency manipulation and trade barriers. If you look here, I mean, here's the chart here. Tariffs charged to the USA, including currency manipulation and trade barriers. I don't know how they come up with China 67%, Vietnam 90%, especially if they're not charging the same for tariffs on all goods. So I have no idea how that number has come up with. The tariff on Israel is 17%. You can find this at the White House X account. I'll post a link to this post. It's a thread with all of the charts there for the different countries. But again, the tariffs are paid by the importers. So people in America will pay the tariffs who bring those goods in. That's how it works. Hang on a moment. Let me show you something here. Oh, somebody asked to see, let me show you some things here. Somebody asked to see some reaction. You can see here, Reuters says hefty Trump tariffs surprise markets. S&P futures slide. Here is a picture of Trump from Reuters holding the tariffs chart, which he called reciprocal tariffs. U.S. President Trump further escalated a trade war today by announcing he would impose what he called reciprocal tariffs to match duties put on U.S. goods by other countries. Rates for China will be set at 34%, on top of the 20% he's already charging them, while the EU and Japan will face 20% to 24% respectively. S&P 500 futures reverse gains. I have to check the latest futures numbers. Tech companies, NASDAQ futures were down, also reflecting tech companies. Comments. John Hardy, chief macro strategist, Saxo Bank, Copenhagen. I was surprised how negative or how hefty these are. Of course, this is going to result in lots of tit-for-tat negotiations. What concessions could be made to get these down? Whatever leverage the U.S. exerts to get other countries to do something to get these tariff levels down, whether it's defense considerations in Europe and or Japan. China, I suspect, sticks, so the Chinese response could be quite interesting. This is pretty negative relative to expectations. It makes sense to see the market reaction, he said. Walter Todd, Chief Investment Officer, Greenwood Capital. We've just got one side of the story, which is what the U.S. is doing, and the other side of the story is how other countries respond to what we're doing. So that's a big component to know to how the market ultimately digests what is being said. That's a fair point. How individual countries or blocks of countries respond to what is being said is the other piece of the puzzle. Depending on what other countries do, it still feels to me like the market wants to use this 5,500 level on the S&P 500 as a springboard. Another expert, Jason Britton of Reflection Asset Management, said, I see this as a net positive. For the most part, these tariff levels are just the starting point for future negotiations. And Mexico and Canada are still exempt for future tariffs. I think the market will settle down and begin to parse the details and realize it's at worst a mixed bag of news. John Luke Tyner of Aptus Capital Advisors said, the market was hopeful for a softer approach. From here now, I imagine it's a negotiation back and forth with many of these countries. Many other countries are using tariffs against the U.S., and I guess from Trump's perspective and from many people's perspective, it's unfair for us to provide more free trade when we're getting pillaged by some of the other countries. What it sets in stone in my mind is these aren't necessarily temporary tariffs. It looks like they're here to stay. He said the policies, the White House and the staff that's making these decisions behind closed doors is 100% aware of the policies that they're putting in place, and at least the rhetoric has created a slowdown in spending, both at the consumer and corporate level. It's created bad sentiment on the future, which slows down things. You've seen slowdowns in projects, capital projects, CEOs' commentary on markets and the economy. Chris Zaccarelli, Northlight Asset Management. When the press conference first started, the president said tariffs would start with a 10% baseline across the board. That was better than expected, which was why we saw futures rallying. But once he got to specifics and started giving examples which were significantly higher than 10%, that's when futures turned around and went negative because it was worse than expected. In the short run, tariffs are going to increase costs and reduce corporate profits. If we have a reshaping of the economy, I'm sure markets will have a different judgment, but the short-term knee-jerk reaction is to the initial price hikes. Peter Cardillo of Spartan Capital Securities. These tariffs are a little bit on the hefty side. We'll just have to wait and see if this trade war ends the way the administration would like it to. It depends on our trading partners now. Are they going to come to the table and negotiate, or are they going to retaliate? You can hear lots of experts saying they think there's going to be big negotiations now. Frederic Carrier of RBC Wealth Management says Europe will be subject to steep reciprocal blanket tariffs, 20%, towards the high end of what had been feared by market participants. He said the impact of tariffs on American economies is unlikely to be too painful simply because Europe does not trade intensively enough with the U.S. It could be greater depending on how the situation evolves. We expect the EU to retaliate swiftly. So a number of experts in that article say they think there could be they expect to see negotiations between other countries in the U.S. And look, it's going to take several days for these tariffs to come into effect. So I don't know if a lot of them will go into effect. A Spider says negotiations at Mar-a-Lago. Paula Thompson says if no one backs down, it's going to be really, really bad. Lethal Old Fart thinks it's all about reshaping the economy and production within the U.S. It's a great move. Let me check these futures tariffs for you. Hold on one second here. There's so much going on. Is SP the Standard & Poor's one? No, that's wrong. Why I got to go back and check. S&P 500 futures. It was sent to me, and now oh, here it is. S&P 500 futures are currently down. Are they still? Is that live? Or am I wrong about this? That seems like it's not live, that one. Now I'm all confused. I have to look up the symbols again. I got the NASDAQ one. NASDAQ futures. Oh no, are the futures not trading? I looked up NQ and it says as of 5 p.m. So did those stop trading, the futures? Where is it? I'm going to check the chat. Let's see. What is the chat saying about this? I don't know which symbols to look up, but I just looked up one and it said that it had stopped trading at 5 p.m. it looked like. Scuffed Lord says they reopen in 10 minutes. Is that true? SPY and QQQ, one of our viewers said. Oh, SPY is a fund. Isn't this what it is? SPY is a fund that mirrors the S&P 500. The SPY, symbol SPY is down 2.8%. Exchange traded fund, says Fish Tacos. Symbol SPY. And then one of our viewers said QQQ. What does that track? Invesco QQQ Trust? That tracks NASDAQ. So that a fund that tracks NASDAQ, this Invesco fund, is down 3.45%. That is symbol QQQ. I have to write these down, these symbols. I can mark them down. So we have QQQ. That's the other one? So I can remember for next time. An SPY. QQQ SPY. Any others I should know? Bloomberg talked about this a bit. The headline on Bloomberg right now is total China tariff rate to rise to 54%, official says. Because it's on top of 34% on top of 20%. People are saying QQQ and SPY. Oh, our viewer JD says there are a lot of exchange traded funds. And somebody said VOO. Oh, that's a Vanguard S&P 500 fund. That's down about 2.75%. So basically, there are these funds that track these indexes, and you can look them up and see what they're trading at. I see. Okay. Bitcoin has dropped from roughly 88,000. It was almost 88,000, it looks like to me. And then it's dropped to about 84,500 after the announcement. Why aren't Mexico and Canada on the chart? Because Trump already announced 25% tariffs on them like a month ago. But it's not clear when those are coming into effect. He's put those on hold. I have an update about Russia. A lot of you guys said, why isn't Russia on the list? Jasmine Wright of Notice Reports said a White House official told Notice that Russia is not on the list because sanctions from the Ukraine war have already rendered trade between the two countries as zero. That's what they said. Again, I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but to me, you got to wait until we get to Saturday, which is when the 10% will take effect across the board. And then April 9th is when, I think it's 12:01 a.m. April 9th, if I have that right. That is when the higher rates on various countries will come into play. So we have seen President Trump before announce tariffs and then delay them or remove them before they take effect. So we'll actually, to me, you just got to wait and see with this stuff. We just don't know. Let's see here. History Underfoot thinks he will backpedal. A Spider says, moving the goalpost to Saturday. Thomas Darwin thinks this will all fizzle out. Well, one of our viewers said, well, then that will be Liberation Day. Well, don't that beat all says, but then it would be Liberation Day. M says, 1 week until Judgment Day. Whoops Lee says, who feels liberated? I really should update the ticker here to say the 10% on all countries, the 10% minimum goes into effect on, where is it here? The 10% is 12:01 a.m. on April 5th. There, I updated the ticker to just have that on there. Wow, what news? Big news. By the way, shout out to our moderators who've been here for the stream. Janet B, Beth Mythical. Really appreciate all of our YouTube moderators. Linda Bell, Clary, Misha over there on X. On Twitch, moderators like Bastion Girl, Big Ball of Yarn, I Got That Fire, Matthew Kohai 3, McBritches, Sarah, Surly Dev, Tariag, thank you. And also on Facebook, oopsie. Kay Lowry, Body, Paul Anderson, Margaret Riley, thank you so much. Michelle Batten says, I pray for our country right now. Jasmine M. Beatty says, this is all ridiculous. It's like a hostage negotiation type of vibes. Thanks to Prague Pro for the shout out. Thanks to Turnaround for your support on Twitch. Any more video happening here? Oh, is Canada speaking? Reaction, possible Canadian reaction coming up. Possible, hold on, hang on a moment. We have possible Canada reaction. Also, Australian Prime Minister, did he already speak or not? I think the Australian Prime Minister spoke. So let me, maybe I'll get the video of that for you. Hold on. Stakeout for Canadian Cabinet. Sorry, I missed it. This is live in Ontario. Hold on. I'm going to get this on the screen for you. So loud. That's in Ontario. Oh, I'm going to cover, hey guys, sorry. The Australian Prime Minister just spoke. So I want to show you some of that. I'm getting that for you right now. Again, this is live in Ontario, Canada. This is a stakeout for the Canadian cabinet reaction to President Trump's tariffs announcement. All right, I'll turn off the volume for that, but that's in Ontario. Is there other video here? What is this? There's microphones at the White House driveway, too. I got to keep an eye on that. Maybe I can play you guys the Australian reaction. Is this it? Where is it here? Did it download yet? One moment here. Sorry, there's a lot going on right now. That's not it. Again, this is in Ontario.
It was worth it. I'm glad you got through the whole process. Now you know your phone can do it. It's a whole new world for you. It is. Technology is like great. It does.
I see the elevator moving. Somebody's coming, I think. Somebody coming? We're waiting for maybe government reaction. What's happening now?
Hello, bonjour. You want to go back?
That wasn't much of a reaction.
Two spots. Two? No, two or one.
All right, let's look at what the Australian Prime Minister said. I'll keep an eye on this. I got to keep an eye on this. The Australian Prime Minister just spoke. I'm going to try to put that up on the screen for you, if I can. Sorry about this. Everything is such a pain. I am in Lima, Peru, so everything's more difficult than it would normally be. Where is it? Why are you hearing? Oh, I see. I know what you're hearing now. So this is, what I'm going to show you now is this. This is moments ago from Australia. And this was Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, I never remember how to pronounce it, gives news conference after Trump announces tariffs. So let's just watch the start of what the Australian Prime Minister said about this tariffs.
The unilateral action that the Trump administration has taken today against every nation in the world does not come as a surprise. For Australia, these tariffs are not unexpected, but let me be clear, they are totally unwarranted. President Trump referred to reciprocal tariffs. A reciprocal tariff would be 0, not 10%. The administration's tariffs have no basis in logic, and they go against the basis of our two nations' partnership. This is not the act of a friend. Today's decision will add to uncertainty in the global economy, and it will push up costs for American households. It is the American people who will pay the biggest price for these unjustified tariffs. This is why our government will not be seeking to impose reciprocal tariffs. We will not join a race to the bottom that leads to higher prices and slower growth. We will stand up for Australia. We will continue to make the strongest case for these unjustified tariffs to be removed from our exporters. Our existing free trade agreement with the United States contains dispute resolution mechanisms. We want to resolve this issue without resorting to using these, as we do support continued constructive engagement with our friends in the United States. Our shared history, our friendship, our alliance, these are all bigger than a poor decision. But the Australian people have every right to view this action, the Trump administration, as undermining our free and fair trading relationship and counter to the shared values that have always been at the heart of our two nations' long-standing friendship. This is how Australians see this relationship. These are uncertain times, but Australians can be absolutely certain of this. Our always stand up for Australian jobs, Australian industry, Australian consumers and Australian values. That is why we've been crystal clear with the United States about what is not up for negotiation. Australia is a great trading nation. 1 in 4 of our jobs depends upon trade. But we'll never trade away the things which make us the best country in the world. The Pharmaceutical Benefits Scheme is an Australian institution, a proud Labor creation that my government has built on. The investments we're making in the PBS mean that life-saving and life-changing medicines, which would otherwise cost people thousands of dollars, will be no more than $25 a script. Under Labor, that will never be up for negotiation. We don't want our health system to be more American, we only want it to be more Australian. The same is true for agriculture. We have made it very clear to the United States that we will not compromise on biosecurity. We will not weaken the measures that protect our farmers and producers from the risks of disease or contamination. Indeed, we've made it a priority to strengthen biosecurity, because one of the things that makes Australian food and fibre the best in the world is that people everywhere know that it stands for quality, it also stands for safety. Another key point was technology. Our government stands by our media bargaining code. We strongly support local content in streaming services so Australian stories stay on Australian screens. And we have no intention of repealing the world-leading legislation that we passed with overwhelming support that set the minimum age for social media at 16. That policy is about what's best for Australian children and Australian parents. These are our priorities. We stand up for Australia's interests. While we have an important trading relationship with the United States, it's important to put this in some perspective. It only accounts for less than 5% of our exports. Many other countries will be hit much harder by today's decision than Australia. And because it is across the board, with no exemptions of course, there's an argument actually about comparative impact of this decision made by President Trump. That puts us in a position where I think no nation is better prepared than Australia for what has occurred today. For 3 years, my government has been working to make Australia's economy more resilient and our exports more diverse. We've deepened our economic engagement in Northeast Asia, Southeast Asia and India, the fastest growing region of the world in human history.
All right, I just wanted to give you a sampling of what the Australian Prime Minister was saying in reaction to this. Oh, there's a typo on the screen. It says moments ago. Obviously, it should say moments ago. Sorry, I'm in Peru right now. Everything gets harder to do here, and it's a big challenge getting everything on the screen and everything with my setup here. So I'm sorry about that, but hopefully you knew what it meant to say. Sorry about moments ago. All right, I'm going to take a few more comments here, but again, we have been covering President Trump's announcement of major new tariffs, bigger than people thought it was going to be, 10% on all countries, but many countries way more than that. And just to give you a sampling here, in case you haven't seen it, I'll give you a little sampling. But remember, the 10% doesn't go into effect till April 5th, and the higher rates don't go into effect until April 9th. So we'll see if these go into effect. They haven't yet. Here is the here is a hold on. Here's a list of some of the countries. China will have a 34% tariff on top of the 20% they already have been given by Trump. That would be 54% on all goods coming in from China. EU, all EU countries, 20%. South Korea, 25%. India, 26%. Vietnam, 46%. Taiwan, 32%. Thailand, 36%. Japan, 24%. Switzerland, 31%. Indonesia, 32%. Malaysia, 24%. Cambodia, 49%. Bangladesh, 37%. Israel and the Philippines, 17%. Pakistan, 29%. These are just some of the countries. Sri Lanka, 44%. QQ Swan thinks they're all going to fold. That's what our viewer QQ Swan said. Wow. Wow. All right. I think we're getting to that point. I think we're getting to that point where I need to take a break. But I really appreciate you guys joining our coverage today. There's going to be more developments on this. We just have to see how things play out. Like, we have to see how do other countries respond. Are other countries going to announce reciprocal tariffs? Are they going to try to negotiate with Trump? I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, other countries, I assume, just heard when we heard what these new tariffs are going to be. I just saw a comment. Anne-Marie Hordern, journalist, posted a clip from Scott Bessent, the Secretary of the Treasury, saying that countries should not retaliate. He said, as long as you don't retaliate, this is the high end of the number. Phillips says, our viewer Phillips says, we will see. Frank R. thinks our Liberation Day was getting liberated from stock market gains and something else. Sorry, the comment flew by. Strong Tower thinks Trump has to keep the tariffs no matter what to pay for the tax cuts. Strong Tower says for billionaire tax breaks. By the way, thank you to Ruben Peters Fumo, who says, I think all countries should look at each other for trade and leave the USA behind. That's what Ruben Peters Fumo says. Thank you, James H. also. Who says Australia blocks the imports of U.S. beef, but we take their beef and Australia cries about the 10%. That's what James H. says. Thanks, the Vladinator. Thanks, Adventurer, our new member. Liberal Rocks, thanks for the gift memberships, by the way. Thanks, Lynn Z. as well. Just want to see if I have any other updates for you guys here. But these were higher tariffs than were expected. The Washington Post says the president's latest trade initiative represents a breathtaking political gamble. After returning to the White House on a wave of public anger over inflation, Trump is now asking voters to put up with a renewed period of rising prices in return for the distant promise of rebuilding domestic manufacturing. Already, economists are warning that Trump's tax increase on imported goods will mean sticker shock on some of Americans' most important purchases, including groceries, cars, and homes. Trump hopes to encourage manufacturers to move their overseas factories to the United States. Hold on. Checking some of these other comments too. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and also a lot of comments here. I wish I could read all the comments on the year. Maybe a few of them I wouldn't read on the year, but you know what I'm saying. So I'm sorry we can't. There's only so much time, so I'm trying to read some more of them. Rassange says Australia blocked beef because of the mad cow outbreak. It was settled in our free trade agreement with them. Why are MAGAs obsessed with bad faith? I'm not up to date on the whole beef situation with Australia. The New York Times, according to New York, did he post? Hold on a second here. Let's see here. The New York Times said that Dan Ives, who is a, hold on a second here. There's so much going on. I have so much open on my desktop. The New York Times said Dan Ives, who is a veteran tech analyst, said the tariffs were worse than the worst case for Wall Street, calling the 34% tariff on China a jaw dropper. He said this is going to put major pressure on tech stocks. What's happening here? Oh, by the way, according to Bloomberg, S&P futures are down 3.5%. NASDAQ futures down 4.2%. Let me check that again for you. Siren says our viewer Siren says the problem with tariffs right now is the American consumer is pretty weak at the moment. Yes, I am looking now at some live futures numbers, and it says that NASDAQ futures are down 4.2%, Dow futures are down 2.2%, and S&P 500 futures are down 3.38%. Trucker Jim, our viewer, says, I don't think these tariffs will bring jobs back. I think factories will be robots. U.S. workers will demand more money for work. That will raise prices as well. Oh, hold on. It's Carney speaking. Hold on a second. Hang on a moment. I think the Prime Minister of Canada is speaking.
A series of measures that are going to fundamentally change the international.
Hold on. I got to refresh this.
Now, in doing so,
I got to refresh this.
has preserved a number of important elements of our relationship, the commercial relationship between Canada and the United States.
Everything's not working. Hold on. Let me try. This is what's happening. Let me try something again. Hang on one second, guys.
As of this evening, the tariffs on automobiles will.
Let's try this one more time.
And the U.S. has signaled that there will be additional tariffs in so-called strategic sectors. Pharmaceuticals.
No, I'll have to replay this after.
And semiconductors.
I think I'll have to replay it after. Sorry.
We're in a situation where.
Again, there's a weird thing going on with the video. I can replay it right after, but there's a weird issue going on right now with playing the stuff. Is it working now? Let's see. No, it keeps pausing.
With countermeasures, we are.
I'll replay this for you. I'll just replay it after. Again, I really apologize. I'm not in my normal studio right now. I'm in Peru. There's an issue with playing the video right now, and I really do apologize.
Come together, and it's essential to act with purpose and with force, and that's what we will do. Alors, en français, si je peux.
Again, I do greatly apologize about that. It's really annoying, but I gotta deal with that after the broadcast. Give me a moment here. It's just everything is all messed up.
De automobiles vont être en.
See how it's all messed up?
Stratégique pour les secteurs de bois, le secteur semiconductor.
Yeah, it's just not working. All right, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's frustrating dealing with these things, but this is what happens sometimes when I'm not at home. So I probably have to restart everything, which I'm not going to do right now. But what I can actually do is probably get you with a statement he just made. So why don't I do that? Let's see here if I can figure this out. I'd like to play that for you. I am getting you the statement from Canada, right? From the Prime Minister, Mark Carney, right now. Hey, thank you to Mr. Blanks-a-lot, who says, did Canada drop all U.S. tariffs? I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that. I'll have to listen to what he said. I hadn't heard that. I think you sent that before he even spoke. Sorry, I'm not really, there's just so much going on right now. I'm sorry I'm not being a better host right now. I'm just trying to deal with these technical issues. It's really frustrating, and I'm just trying to fix those. So I'm sorry I can't do a better job of responding to your questions, everything. Thank you to Mr. Blanks-a-lot, also PZ Papa Zulu, and I really appreciate your support. Just when things don't work, it's difficult, and my priority is to fix that for you. Did I get the video download of the Canadian Prime Minister's statement yet? I did. Okay, let's play this for you. I think I got it. Let's see if this works. I don't even know if this is going to work. Is this going to work? I hope. All right, I see him speaking. No, I probably got the wrong thing. Wrong time code. If I can't get it, I won't get it. One more try. Sorry. I think I need a break. I am just downloading what I hope is the Canadian Prime Minister's statement so I can show you that again. As I said, I really appreciate you guys. Your understanding while I'm in Peru doing this here, there's going to be some, technical difficulties along the way. All right, you know what? I'm just going to call it. I have to eat something. This is not really working. I'll work on it later. I'll work on trying to fix all this stuff later. I'm sorry. I got to wrap up and eat something. This is not. So we covered this. We'll have more coverage of news while I'm here. I got to eat something. It's not working. I'm fighting it not working. I got to just get off the air and fix it. So, or do my best to fix it. Anyways, I really appreciate you guys being here. Again, I greatly apologize for the technical issues. It drives me crazy. Stuff that I don't anticipate happening, and then all of a sudden stuff stops working. But I'll have to just look into it. Anyways, I really appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much. Thanks for all of your comments. And thanks to everybody who donated. Super nice of you. I'm sorry I couldn't do a better job answering some of the questions. But hopefully you understand. But this is certainly huge news. We'll have to see whether these tariffs come into force as pronounced or whether there's some sort of reducing of them. Before they actually come into effect. I'm sure it'll be a big day on the market, on the U.S. markets tomorrow. We'll see what happens with foreign markets too. But I will post, subscribe, follow Agenda Free TV. I cover all kinds of live breaking news without an agenda. Agenda Free TV. And I will post stuff on my X account, updates there. About breaking news at Lookner on X. You can follow me there for breaking news updates at Lookner on X. And let's see, what did I want to mention? Hey, huge thanks to our moderators for being here. Thanks so much for being in the chat. We've been on the air a bunch the last couple of days. So thanks so much to our mods for allowing people to chat and keeping it respectful in our chat. You guys are awesome. Over on YouTube, people like Beth Mythical and all of our other moderators, Janet B., all of our other moderators who've been over there on Twitch. Bash and Girl, Big Olive Yarn, I Got That Fire, Matthew Kohai 3, Sarah Surly Dev. On Facebook, Paul Anderson, K. Lowry Body. Margaret Riley, thank you. Linda Belk, Misha, Larry over on X, thanks. And again, thanks to everybody who donated. That is super nice of you, and that's what keeps the channel going. I really appreciate it. Hopefully I thanked everybody. If you ever want to donate, you go to agendafree.tv, agendafree.tv, but thank you. Thank you, Love Francis, too, for subscribing, and Barker J. Rohr for subscribing on Twitch. Hey, follow us on X. I always post there when we go live. At Agenda Free TV on X. That's a really good way to find out when we're going live. I post updates about the channels there. And best way to find out when we're going live for future streams, turn on notifications. We have a free notification system. It works awesome. We do it through Discord. It's free, easy to sign up. The mods will post the link to the notifications. You can find the link to sign up for the notifications in the YouTube and Facebook description of this broadcast. So make sure you sign up for the notifications. Thanks to our Discord mods, by the way. Also, at the same link, you can check out, we have a chat, a free chat where you can chat with other viewers when we're not on the air, our Discord chat. A lot of our viewers like doing that. So check that out as well. Okay. Let's see. NASDAQ futures down 4.4%. S&P 500 down 3.57%. Dow down 2.4%. Those are the latest numbers I just saw. And a reminder, also, I would suggest if you watch on YouTube, turn on the notifications on YouTube. But to do that, what you need to do is you have to subscribe first. And then once you're subscribed on YouTube, make sure you click this bell here, and then you choose all notifications. See how it says all? You want to choose all notifications. So make sure you click the bell and choose all notifications. All right. Hang on a second here. Hey, thanks to our subscribers on Facebook. Everybody subscribes over there and supports the channel, like Lou Green, Robert Rial II, thank you. K. Larry Body, Margaret Riley, Eve Richards, Sharon Klassen Goslin, all of our other Facebook subscribers. Thanks so much for subscribing there. Also, our Twitch subscribers, thanks to all of you, like Wall Street and Shaggy, Kitty Tiger, Bogan04, Gina Pina, Blue Devil, Jack's Animals, Twitcher, thank you. And Barker J. Rohr, Love Francis, all of our other subscribers there. And our YouTube members, Crypto King, Confidence in God, Joe Hart, Benny Hill, Per Holstrand, Michael McIsaac, Pierre Dubois, Beam Me Up, Jason S., Mona L., Peters, Warahead Vids, Nancy Adler, VV, Owl Hippie, OK, Pet Brett, Evelyn in Maine, Michael McIsaac, Bruce Kaiser, John Flick, OK, all of our other YouTube members, thank you, and all of our other viewers, thank you, Sarah Smile, everybody else watching. So I need to eat something, then I need to get work fixing this stuff. There's some stuff I need to fix. So total apologies for some of the technical issues. I will look at everything as soon as I've eaten something, and I will be working on it and trying to get this stuff fixed. It's always something. Okay, so I really appreciate you guys joining me for the stream. When there's more news, breaking news, as I'm here, we'll be covering it. Also, I might be doing some streams on my personal channel while I'm here. That's Lookner on YouTube and Looknerd with a D on Twitch. So huge thanks again to you for joining us for our live tariff announcement coverage. We'll see if these actually go into effect as is, which would be huge, but we'll have to see. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon with more live breaking news coverage right here at Agenda Free TV.